beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
What's up, guys? What is up? I don't like that. I was trying to toy with a little bit of intro audio just off the cuff. I need to mess with that stuff, get better. But what's up, guys? I didn't like that at all. I didn't like it. No, we'll just go with straight from the music into this. I need to maybe figure out the production side of things. Maybe figure out a way to ease the intro. I didn't like whatever that was. Didn't like it. I knew I wasn't going to. Did it anyways. But here we are, guys. I know. Sorry, we weren't here for the normal Monday, Tuesday. But hey, Daddy's got to pay bills. If you don't like it, I don't know. Give me money. I do have a patron. I mean, you don't have to, but I don't want to hear no complaints when I'm not doing a 5-day-a-week coverage like I normally do. If it's only 3, then you can get over it. Sorry. But here I am on a Wednesday. I should be here with you guys tomorrow and Friday, so you should get 3 morning dumps. We'll go through the news cycle with you, maybe some old stuff as well. But it is, what is today? It is August the 6th, Wednesday, beautiful Wednesday morning. I've already gone for a run. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you saw that the reason why I'm a little bit late today, that is because I had to literally clear horses out of my yard, so that pushed me back a little bit. Someone's, I guess, left their gate open, and they somehow ended up in my yard. So I had to go talk to the neighbors and do all that sort of stuff. But here I am with you guys today, ready to get into it. So it's the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. I fucked up the intro. I'll get back in the swing of things. This is only my second dump since back on vacation. So just fun to be back with you guys. We have some interesting stories to go through today. Let's do our normal morning video while we wait for the rest of the class to show up. Let's see, where do I want to start? Let's start right here. I don't know, I haven't watched this yet, but someone who tagged me, I believe Rage Child, a friend of the show, appreciate it, buddy, tagged me in this clip from Tucker, him going on about supernatural forces. Let's hear what he has to say while we wait for the rest of the class to show up.
The main thing they want you to believe is the supernatural is not real. Their main interest is in convincing you that the supernatural is not real. Why has that been so important for 80 years? For you to convince me the supernatural is not real. Why do you care if I think the supernatural is real? And then you have to ask motive. Like, it's not a profit motive. Like, does it make them rich to deny that there's supernatural forces? No. What is that? And I don't know the answer. But the obvious answer is, well, because they sort of know they're working for supernatural forces, actually. But that they take physical form, that they're not just like some ethereal, they're not just shadows floating around, specters, fog, that they're physical. Like, they're as real as the arm of your chair. People are subject to the supernatural, so they do things that are not natural, like kill themselves. That's why we're the only species that kills itself, right? So when you kill yourself, whether slowly or all at once, you're being acted on by forces outside of you, spiritual forces, obviously. Just trying to apply logic here.
Obviously, this is just a snippet of a larger conversation, so I'm not sure exactly what they were talking about at this point, but I know I've seen him in other interviews bring up such topics. And but the way he brings it up is weird, not in like your way that, like, I don't know, your aunt or whatever who's a believer or whatever who would broach the subject, but in I don't know, in a weird, like, as if in a wink wink I know things kind of way. Like, there's always this let me see. Actually, maybe he said it because it even says here the claims the U.S. government is being controlled. But it's like he's making these loose claims like, I know people sort of like it's backed up by this like I sort of know things. It's weird. It's odd. It's not as simple as like just your aunt being like I think I knew someone who's possessed by demons once or something. And this just seems weird. This seems like he's implying, oh, I've talked to someone like, oh, I've talked to government contractors and they've confirmed we have reported cases of blah, blah, blah. That's what it feels like. But let's start this over because I'm kind of interested to see the specific claim here, if there even is a claim. Because that's the thing, too. It kind of plays fast and loose with other even sort of claims. Whereas it just feels like a seeding of a disinfo or something. I don't know. Once again, I know a lot of people like Tucker in our field, and he's done a lot of he's been on the right path as of late. But I struggle to trust a guy of his background, which we'll get into later. And then these sort of things, I just can't help but notice. I have my spidey senses, start prickling up. I think about cool, you're on my side right now with certain things. Trying to keep my eye on the long run, and they're like, you're freaking me out. But maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just a weird little religious feller. So let's hear the specific thing. Maybe there's something in here.
The main thing they want you to believe is the supernatural is not real. Their main interest is in convincing you that the supernatural is not real. Why has that been?
Which, can we agree? Can we fucking come together? I know that I have my pitfalls when it comes to production, but is it just me? I'm not liking this lately. And once again, this is not at all. I know people. I have friends, or maybe even some people who are no longer friends, but just people who have done this. But I don't like it. You guys, let me know if you like it. I've been noticing this lately as like a trend in the podcast world, where they're getting like overly produced, like podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever you want to call them, where they're getting like overly produced. Where we have, like, for example, right here, like this was a good example of it. Like, if for those, maybe you weren't able to tell if you're audio, but you could tell there was like these almost jumps. It's because they have these like AI editing that like cut out like the lulls, and it just becomes normal people don't talk perfectly. And like I get it, maybe clean up a little bit. It makes it a little bit more pleasing in the eye. Not everyone wants a mumbling idiot like me, so that's why you do clean these things up. But it does get to a point where it just becomes almost uncanny valley-ish to me. It's weird. And then people do also throw some of the weird music, and then like even now the latest is kind of they have this almost like weird hypercut before at the beginning of the video. I don't like it. Weird side tangent. I just been noticing this as a trend in the podcast world, and I just want us to come together and go, no. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. There are definitely things to pick at on my low production value, the low amount of production that I put out. But to some degree, I think that is kind of the charm of it. I mean, there should be, like, I get it. You put a little bit more, and you maybe, like, kind of edit up where you put this little audio thing, that audio thing for, like, just to make it a cohesive, whatever. But so far as, like, the over-the-top, cutting out, like, ums and, like, and lulls, it just, I don't know, it becomes weird to me. Yeah, I don't like it. It freaks me out. You guys let me know, but let's watch another 10 seconds. I don't think there's actually a specific claim in here, but correct me. You let me know, what do you guys think? It feels like there's this implication of, like, I'm making claims, and this does feel like something. I feel like we might be getting something in the realm of supernatural ops in the future. Like, hell, we are already the stupid. We talked about, I believe, already Dead last night. The stupid op that keeps getting floated around the. Which I don't know. Maybe it's legit. I haven't even looked into it. I haven't even given it the time of day. I just give it a rolling of the eyes and move on. I keep seeing these stories about like aliens or fucking spaceship or asteroid or some bullshit coming in like months or something, and you're like, you just roll your eyes and like, who knows, maybe the end of civilization is nigh and that really is the end of the world. But I don't know, I don't believe them. Like, if that is the case, and I don't even care to even bother to try to take the time to read to find out if it is the case, because it just seems like bullshit to me. But yeah, I don't know. Let's roll to the chat, see what you guys gotta say. I'm curious what you guys think. Is he glowing here, or do you think maybe I'm wrong? Maybe I'm entirely wrong. Maybe the revealing is upon us. Maybe we are coming to where, like, oh no, we're going to see the masters behind the whatever the fuck, the intergalactic leaders will reveal themselves. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Like you said, supernatural. It's all aliens and or angels and demons. I mean, this isn't even meant to even like be a knock on religion. It just seems weird the way that it's being rolled out, I guess you could say, by certain actors. But let's go through, say good morning. Good morning, Andrew. Tower Gang Jose Wednesday, motherfuckers. It sure is. Good morning, Tucker Delay. Says, hell yeah. Fuck yeah, buddy. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning, Glowy Niggerspick. Good morning, Mogera85. Yeah, this says that Glow Nigger giving Tucker is a bad name. Yeah, sorry, Tucker Delay. You didn't get to pick your name. Mulgara's pointing out it's also the 80th anniversary of the nuking of Hiroshima. I guess people are debating about that. I'll be honest, we're probably not even going to touch on that at all. I'm aware it was. I don't care. Nuke's bad. The end. I don't really care to argue with anyone about it. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we didn't need to kill thousands of people. I mean, the other option was just not to murder people. So just throwing that out there. I mean, hell, especially since we kind of somewhat cornered them into Pearl Harbor in a sense anyways. So anyways, good morning, Tower Gang NPC. Good morning, Solar Explorer Coaching. It says Nick's response to Tucker was powerful. The clips did not do it justice. Yeah, I actually watched the entire stream. It was pretty goddamn good. He did a good job. It's funny. It's all stuff I knew, but he did a really good job of weaving it and just really making it like that more impactful. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. So here's Alien Big Cats. Good morning. He says I hate overproduction. So he agrees with me. That is a trend I've been noticing. So whatever. Good morning, Bobo. Good morning. Good morning. Mulgara says, I don't even like Nick, but yeah, it was powerful. Tucker should have Nick on. And yeah, that is actually, I think, the crux of what we'll get into. I really feel like that's kind of, at this point, Tucker's only saving grace is having Nick on. And even then, that might not be enough. And yeah, I'm not a big Nick fan either, but it's like the shit-talking he's been doing and the accusations he's kind of throwing, and then especially coming from him, of all people, which we'll get into, it's like, no, you need to have him on. You can't just be doing this. This is wild shit to be doing as an adult man, especially when you're like try to position yourself as like, I don't know if it says position yourself as macho, but definitely masculine and in like a fatherly sense. So like that's not fatherly. That's not on brand. Like that it becomes, I feel like for people like me and like maybe others, it just seems like we notice a schism between what you seem to be and what you seem to portray yourself as. So yeah. Good morning, Soul Explorer Coaching. Saying Tucker's glowing. Good morning, my dumplings. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, I'm William Miller. It says, Dirt, didn't know my dad was CIA. Dirt. Yeah, I know, right? Ridiculous, huh? Good morning, J Pro Plumbing. Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Yeah, let's roll through some foreign policy, and then we'll make fun of Tucker some more. Which I know, I feel so bad because I know a lot of people are enamored in our group, and I want to be too. He's doing all the right things, but then he also does weird, dumb shit like what we're about to get into later. And it's like, dude, how do I can't ignore this. This is ridiculous. But, all right, let's get into it. Foreign policy. We don't have a ton today. Not looking great. Kind of, once again, I hate to say a toe-to-so, but a toe-to-so. I say it with no satisfaction whatsoever. The thing we've been saying for forever, I believe this was yesterday. I believe this was announced. I believe Netanyahu announced that, we're just basically doing the full-on occupation. So the story for today on that is Trump saying that occupying Gaza is, and here's the quote, pretty much up to Israel, unquote. So let's go through this piece together. This is from Dave DeCamp over at antiwar.com. He always does a great job. We'll have to get him back on sometime soon. I know last time I asked he was busy, so we'll have to try to get him on sometime soon. But President Trump was asked on Tuesday whether he supported a reported plan for Israel to escalate in Gaza with the goal of fully occupying the Palestinian territory, and said it was pretty much up to Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a meeting of his senior officials on Tuesday and, according to Israeli media, said he favored a full Israeli military occupation of Gaza, even if it means the remaining captives could be harmed or executed by Hamas. Which, by the way, keep in mind, this is everything we said from the start. That everyone's like, no, they're not just trying to take over the whole place and murder everyone and create weird, demented traps and concentration camps and all the awful things. Nope, here we are, and this is how it's done. So, just wild. Previous Israeli reports said that Netanyahu had the green light from the Trump administration to launch a more aggressive military operation against Hamas in Gaza. Israel relies on U.S. military aid to sustain its genocidal war in Gaza, meaning it needs U.S. backing to escalate. When asked about the occupation plan, Trump also said the U.S. was trying to get people fed in Gaza, referring to the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a food distribution system that has been plagued by IDF massacres of unarmed Palestinians near aid sites. As far as the rest of it, I really can't say. That's going to be pretty much up to Israel, the president said. So this is how cucked your president is. They're literally doing the most brazen war crimes blatantly in front of them. And that's just talking about the occupation. That's not even talking about then the additional war crimes of the what's going on with the GHF. That is 100% war crimes, like multiple war crimes. Anyone who's watched the Aguilar, any of the interviews, he goes through numerous war crimes just by the very nature of its existence. Because it's literally a war crime to where they've put those aid sites by its definition is a war crime. So definitionally, this isn't me being dramatic. We're talking definitionally legal definitions. That's one of the things. You can't put aid sites in the middle of combat zones, which every single one of them, I think maybe there's one that isn't. I think there's like 4 sites maybe, but I think like 3 of them, and they're like the middle of like fucking like combat. So it's literally, it is a death trap. It's literally a death trap. And even then these people get like nothing out of it. So, I mean, it's just wild. It's just, according to a report from Axios, the Trump administration is preparing to take over management of the aid distribution system in Gaza because the U.S. believes Israel isn't handling it adequately. U.S. officials didn't detail what exactly that would entail, but there have been signs the U.S. is just considering expanding the GHF. Which, by the way, this is a side thing. I didn't see. I heard something about this. I want to say it was like Ireland or somebody, but I swear one like major person was recently literally calling on the UN to militarily intervene. Which, while I am into intervention, like that is one where like I don't know. It's one of the best examples of just war theory there probably has ever really been. I mean, if we're talking like an international body, like a body of nations going in and stopping the Israel with like literally with military force if need be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's my knee-jerk reaction not to support military stuff, but I don't know. Is there really, aside from like the literal Gazans. The funny thing, though, is I say this, though, and like while I'm not a fan of Hamas is like vilified here. So it is like even the people who fight off Israel in this situation there. So it's like you literally demonize the stereotypical like, oh, we fight off our oppressors, which, I mean, far be it for me to be like, oh, they're freedom fighters for Hamas, but kind of, in a certain sense, they're the military force of that area that is basically de facto occupied by Israel. So they kind of are the force fighting off that and maybe some other people who choose to resist. So I mean, like between them, I guess like the Hamas fighters and then also like a UN, like, or just any other foreign body coming and helping, I really like, honestly, I guess as weird as this is, the Hamas example, or even just the civilian population of Gaza, in some way, shape or form fighting off themselves would probably be the best example you could ever think of a just war theory. And then the second best example would probably be an outside force such as the UN, US, whomever, coming in and somehow using military force to ensure these people get aid and the blockade is stopped and whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very anti-intervention, very anti-war, but I mean, the irony here is like this is I don't know. It's like as much as the one time where it's like, oh, like maybe like I guess war, quote unquote, is permissible is when it's this situation. Like, I don't know. The most insane, over the top situation. And I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's just a weird thing to think about, really, that this is where we're at. One U.S. official told Axios that Trump is not thrilled about the plan, but that there doesn't seem to be another way. Although the UN and other aid groups that operate in Gaza are calling for Israel to lift all restrictions on aid and agree to a ceasefire, which they say is necessary to bring real relief to starving Palestinians in Gaza. The Axios report said the U.S. was seeking contributions from other countries, including regional Arab states and European nations, to support the aid plan. However, an Israeli official said the U.S. would be spending a lot of money. And the funny thing is, though, that like this whole like, oh, the U.S. this or that, this... From my understanding, the only holdup is that they're just like, no, we're not allowing the UN. Like, their thing is like, oh, we want to make sure that Hamas isn't getting... And even then, I don't think there's anything specific the GHF is doing differently than any other aid group that would prevent Hamas from getting anything or whatever. Like, whatever their concerns were, It really does seem like, no, we just wanted to kind of have this situation that we control in every way, shape, and form, like we've covered, I believe, on the most, maybe it was the most recent one, where we kind of covered like the degree to which Israel is controlling all of the situation about the aid, like everything about it. So they've essentially, this death trap is of their own invention. So it's not really aid. So I don't know. It's wild stuff. All right, let's get into the next one. Israeli forces kill 79 Palestinians in Gaza over 24 hours. So, I mean, I guess that's an improvement as opposed to days in the past. So this is where we're at now. And then of that, I guess the average has been 28 Palestinian kids that die a day over in Gaza. In that small little area, that's over 24 people die, or children die, every day throughout this entire ordeal. All right, last story that's a sort of foreign policy, sort of not. This is a particularly interesting story. I accidentally just exited out. Give me a second. Let me bring it back up. Here we go. This is how Karim Khan's Israel war crimes probe was derailed by threats, leaks, and sex claims. Now, I know for those who watched Already Dead last night, you may have seen we played that video with Ari Banash. And I thought that was interesting that he essentially, in that they asked him that he's a former Mossad spy. They asked him if they thought that perhaps the Epstein stuff has anything to do with the blackmail from that, has anything to do with the current steps being pursued in Gaza so far as the U.S. and even maybe Israel is concerned. And he kind of went, well, that's possible. And kind of to kind of back up this idea, he pointed to back in the 90s when Clinton and I guess, who was it? Ehud, I believe at the time. I believe it was Ehud. Yeah. Ehud and Bill were going to sign a deal with, that was Arafat to essentially for a two-state. And essentially there was blackmail on both of them from Epstein is the claim. And that's what fucked it all up. And so I just thought that was interesting maybe to kind of pair that concept with. And then we have here a modern example of this guy. He was one of the ICC guys pursuing I don't know which specific one it was because there's a slew of different ones. We'll get into that in a second. But I guess he's met similar such, he's had to deal with it. So let's go through that. This is already targeted by U.S. sanctions. The ICC chief prosecutor's pursuit Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders now threatens his career, his reputation, and the future of the court itself. So the major Middle East Eye investigation has uncovered extraordinary details of an intensifying intimidation campaign targeting the British chief prosecutor of the ICC over his investigation into alleged Israeli war crimes. The campaign has involved threats and warnings directed at Karim Khan by prominent figures, close colleagues, and family friends, briefing against him, fears for the prosecutor's safety prompted by a Mossad team in The Hague, and media leaks about sexual assault allegations. It is taking place against the backdrop of Khan's efforts to build and pursue a case against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli officials over their conduct of the war against Hamas in Gaza and accelerating Israeli settlement expansion and violence against Palestinians in the illegally occupied West Bank. Last month, Middle East Eye revealed that Khan was warned in May that if the arrest warrants issued last year for Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant were not withdrawn, he and the ICC would be destroyed. Okay, so he's receiving these threats. The warning was delivered by Nicholas Kaufman, a British-Israeli defense lawyer at the court, during a meeting with Khan and his wife, Shamala Alagandra, at a hotel in The Hague. Kaufman told Khan he had spoken to Netanyahu's legal advisor and was authorized to make him a proposal that would allow Khan to climb down the tree, according to a note of the meeting on file at the ICC seen by MEE. In response to questions from MEE, Kaufman denied threatening Khan. He denied having been authorized to make any proposals on behalf of the Israeli government and said he had shared his personal views with Khan on the Palestine situation. The meeting came less than 2 weeks before allegations of sexual assault against Khan, which he has strenuously denied, were first published, and he has reported preparing to seek arrest warrants for more members of the Israeli government. There is no suggestion of any connection between the Kaufman-Khan meeting and the publication of the allegations. Now here's the Kaufman guy, the one who supposedly made this threat. Now, Khan went on to leave shortly afterward after an attempt to suspend him, prompted by a senior member of his own office, failed, and amid an ongoing UN investigation due to allegations against him. Intense pressure on the prosecutor had been building even before Khan became the subject of the now widely publicized allegations. MEE can reveal details about correspondence between Khan and the complainant, a female ICC staff member, which appeared to raise questions about some of the previously reported claims about the case in America and British media. In response to questions from MEE, the complainant said she had fully cooperated with the UN investigation and could not engage with the questions posed or correct inaccuracies because she is bound by obligations of confidentiality and professional integrity. Okay. So there kind of sounds like she's being kind of mum about whatever this is. So I guess it's not even, I don't know, it sounds like there's just vague accusations of sexual assault. I don't know. Let's keep going. Khan has declined to comment to MEE on the matters raised in the article. The timeline events reveal that pressure on Khan started to build in April 2024 as he prepared to apply for the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant, then again in October before judges issued the warrants. It intensified further this year as Khan was reported to be seeking warrants from more Israeli ministers and coinciding with further media leaks about the sexual assault allegations. Okay. So these media leaks, and it's from some broad that's kind of being kind of quiet about it and kind of being like, Yeah, she couldn't, because she says she could not engage with the questions posed or correct inaccuracies because she's bound by obligations of confidentiality and professional integrity. Okay, because she's a member of the ICC. This is bizarre. So there's some broad who's not really, they're playing, it seems like they're kind of having it both ways. This like, okay, well there's accusations out here, but I'm sworn to confidentiality and professional integrity. I can't just be saying this sort of shit out there. Then don't make it. I don't know. It just seems bizarre. Then don't make an accusation, because now we're out here and we have no fucking idea. This makes it seem like bullshit. All right, keep going. MEE spoke to sources with knowledge of the affair and reviewed material understood to be relevant to the investigation. Okay. MEE's investigation revealed that in April 2024, weeks before Khan applied for the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant, then British Foreign Secretary David Cameron privately threatened Khan that the UK would defund and withdraw from the ICC if it issued warrants for Israeli leaders. In May 2024, U.S. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham threatened Khan with sanctions if he applied for the warrants. Before the allegations were made, Khan had received a security briefing that indicated that Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, was active in The Hague and posed a potential threat to the prosecutor. The woman accusing Khan of sexual misconduct wrote in May 2024 in text messages to Khan that there were games being played and attempts to make her a pawn in some game I don't want to play. Okay, two internal ICC investigations into the allegations were closed after she refused to cooperate with them. All right, well, it sounds like she's going through some shit too. Like, she may not even be really even a bad guy here, is what it sounds like. But the complainant has previously sought and obtained Khan's help in another complaint against a second senior ICC official. This was during the period in which she later alleged Khan had repeatedly sexually assaulted her. Investigators found no wrongdoing on the part of the individual who was the subject of her complaint. Thomas Lynch, Khan's special assistant, who he tasked to liaise with Israel in the Palestine investigation, played a key role in making the allegations against Khan official. Privately, however, Lynch had expressed his own doubts about the allegations to Khan's wife and said the timing was suspicious. In response to allegations from MEE, Lynch described allegations in this article as false and misleading. A female ICC lawyer told MEE there was a group of people within the court who disagreed with Khan's approach and were working to discredit him. She said she had been approached in May 2024 and asked if Khan had ever behaved inappropriately towards her. I told them he's the last person on my list of men who would do that. Khan met Nicholas Kaufman, the British-Israeli defense lawyer, to discuss the Israel investigation just 2 weeks before he was forced to go on leave after it was publicly revealed that he was under investigation over sexual assault allegations. According to a note of the meeting on file at the ICC, Kaufman told Khan that if the warrants against Netanyahu or Gallant were not dropped, they will destroy you and they will destroy the court. Two former ICC judges have told MEE they have grave concerns about the way the OIOS investigation of the allegations against Khan have been conducted, questioning why the prosecutor was publicly named as the subject of a complaint and the need for an external investigation into his alleged misconduct. That's some wild shit. All right, there's a lot more of this article. You guys can go check it on your own. I think we get the vibe of what the fuck is happening here. I mean, who knows? Maybe this guy's a raper, but I mean, this is also one of those things that if you're going to be throwing these sort of claims out, this is going to be part of the public opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm perfectly sympathetic to the concept of how, like, you know, victims may or may not want to go to certain levels, and you know, I know some people might have thoughts about like how it's your duty to do whatever. I don't know, whatever. That's your victim. That's you deal with that. But at the same time, if this is out in the public opinion, I can just as easily roll my eye and think nothing of it if there's nothing to back it up. If there's no substance, there's nothing. Like, sure, maybe you did get something did happen, but like, okay, I'm sorry, this is out in there. Unless I have something, I kind of just have to defer to nothing happened, or like I don't know until something more is presented. And like it's just it is what it is. I mean, this who knows? Maybe he's a raper, but it sounds to me like this is some weird in between confidentiality, withholding information, sort of vague. It just I don't know what this is, but this feels sketchy. But let's roll the chat. See what you guys gotta say. It's been a minute since I checked in with y'all, and yeah, let's do that. Good morning, everybody. Jabba the Hutt says there's no clock like horse clock. Yes. Control Dig asked me if I looked into the Sydney Sweeney ad. He says, pretty sure they're selling biogenetics to elites from Zorro Ranch and posing them as ads. Hence why Trump gave it the thumbs up. I did not put that much thought into that at all. But now I was rolled my eye when I like Sydney Sweeney ad. Then I read the rest of yours and I'm like, okay, well maybe you have something. I don't know. I'll have to look into that later. I've heard of it. I mean, I know there was the thing that happened while I was on vacation. So yeah. Scrolling through, see what all you guys got to say. Good morning, Adrian Bodie. Good morning, everybody. It was Ireland, says Glowy Nigger Spick. That was the feller who said that they essentially there was cause for the UN to enter in militarily, says Glowy Nigger Spick. Let me see what all you guys gonna say. Apparently there's an active shooter at Fort Stewart in Georgia, says Mulgara. Well, definitely if you guys see any information on that, tag me on that. That will be something we probably cover tomorrow, maybe even today if it's something big enough. But yeah, let's see what all we got in here. Bubba says he's got some dad stuff to do. Says y'all take care, like, comment, subscribe. All right, see you, buddy. Catch it on the replay. Make sure to give a 5-star review. Hell yeah. All right. Yeah, Eddie says, yeah, it seems like there are casualties already. Shit. Well, guys, give me updates in the chat, and if there's anything specific that you feel like we should cover so far as like breaking stuff, if you find any articles, tabs, social media links, whatever, drop them in the chat, at least for Rumble. I know YouTube, it won't let you drop links, but Rumble, you can drop it in there. I can bring it up. So, all right, let's go through. Let's hop into let's get into this, this craziness. Just whatever. I'm not even going to try to present it. Let's just go ahead and start.
I probably shouldn't even say this, but the only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video a few years ago of him attacking me. And I was like, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, first of all, this kid's really talented, like legit. And I can assess that just having done the job for so long. So I was like, wow, lots of talent, native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's untrue. Then my father dies and I learn actually, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who's this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. Well, how would he know that? And I
Wait, so that was his critique of you because I didn't see it.
Someone just sent me this video and it was like, you can't believe anything Carlson says because his father was in the CIA and he's a CIA working on behalf of the CIA. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and I actually feel emotional in my anger towards CIA. And I think that comes out on the air quite regularly.
Right.
And so the idea that I'm working for the CIA is like deranged.
Well, if it helps, he said I'm funded by Russia now.
I do gotta say this, like, it's like deranged. This just feels, I don't know. I mean, seems bizarre. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I devour a decent amount of Tucker. I don't watch his stuff regularly, but when there's interesting guests, which he has quite frequently, I watch him and like I don't know. I don't have this like ingrained like, oh, I know he hates the CIA, and to say otherwise is ridiculous. I don't have that at all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just not aware enough of his career or his reputation, but that's not at all the impression I get. And if anything, this feels like a doth protest too much type thing. So I don't know. I mean, once again, maybe it's just a bad reaction and you're making yourself look more guilty, but not looking good. Let's keep going.
The interview, he then did a thing and said I was funded by
But you
Russia.
would be
So, okay.
a lot more likely to take Russian money than I would be to work for the CIA, because you would never take Russian money, and you're not Russian. But I mean, I really hate the CIA.
This is once again, this feels like Bongino and Cash being like, oh, just trust me, it was a suicide. Like, obviously it's a different thing, but it's just trust me, I hate the CIA. I don't know. I don't feel like it's that self-evident that Tucker hates the CIA so hard. Yeah, I mean, let's keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, that's like very offensive to me. So why would you?
It's like personal for you.
Like, it just doesn't. I don't sound off in the chat. I mean, I just don't even understand where this is coming from. This is where it feels separated from reality. I don't. I mean, once again, like, I'm not saying that he has a reputation of being insanely pro CIA. I'm just saying this like bizarre like scoffing of like I'm CIA. Like it just feels like I don't just feel anyone who knows me knows I hate the CIA. Like no, I know of you. I don't. That's not the thing that comes to mind. No, maybe I'm missing something. Please let me know. I just feel like, if anything, I almost feel like gaslit here. Like the level of reaction makes me feel like, oh, well, I guess maybe I just missed a huge part of Tucker's career where he was super anti-CIA or something. I don't know. I'm not, once again, not saying he was pro, but I'm just the idea that this guy is driven in any way, in any large degree, by his hatred of the CIA. I've never picked up on that. He definitely doesn't wear it on his sleeve. So maybe I just haven't paid close enough attention. I don't know.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyway, like, who is this kid exactly?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just an accident that the guy exclusively goes after people who are in roughly the same. And then he gets up there and he's like, making Holocaust jokes. And it's like, is it possible that this...
Which I hate this. Once again, for one, like, this is gay. Oh, he's making Holocaust jokes. Like, yeah, he makes... I don't know. I just hate this. Maybe it's I'll forgive it. Maybe it's just the boomer in people, but it's like, why is it this idea that, like, if I want to drop the N-bomb or something, like, who fucking cares? It's like, I don't know. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's one thing if the guy's advocating violence, but, like, I don't know. Maybe, once again, I guess I'm far be it for me to stump for Nick. I'm not even, like, I find him to have a pretty good analysis. He's kind of funny. So maybe he said awful shit that I'm not aware of. I don't even follow him that closely. It just seems bizarre. It feels like a pearl clutching. Oh no, he's making jokes. Yes. And that's why people identify with him, because to some degree I think people probably see to some degree it's fun. I mean, once again, I might be missing things because he never appealed that much to me. But I don't know. It always makes me laugh. I always find him pretty funny guy. Like, a pretty good analysis, generally speaking. Definitely things that he values more than I do, or that we definitely disagree on, but nothing that's like beyond the pale that I'm aware of. So anyways, let's keep going.
This is like David Duke. David Duke, every time I had a new...
Oh yeah, exactly. This is what it comes to, this idea of this like shit coding concept, which, I mean, sure, I do think that it's something feds have done in the past, but it's also like, or maybe he just believes it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Duke is maybe a little bit more of a crazy example. I'd say Duke felt like, at least feels like to me, he probably fits this role that Tucker's describing here. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he just was maybe he was just about that life. I don't know. So it just seems weird that that's the impetus. And then the idea that if people have ideas or do things beyond the pale, that it's because, I don't know. I mean, it just seems bizarre, especially when, we'll get into, background and stuff, when you're like, okay, cool, this guy makes naughty jokes. But all right, let's keep going.
David Duke would endorse my show. I don't know. Who the hell is David Duke? Well, David Duke is obviously part of a campaign to discredit people on the right, obviously. And I think which I will say, I've heard a lot of people back this up that seem to know more about this than I do, that maybe Tucker is actually onto something here.
But I don't know. I'm not seeing it. But I don't pay attention close enough. There's not really anyone that I'm aware of. If this actually feels like this concept actually feels like the result of like low tier thinking, like fucking like Tim Pool brain rot type bullshit. Like, well, you said we shouldn't vote for Trump, so that means you don't like the right side of people. Like that's like that kind of, and they're like, oh, he's always attacking for the right. And I'm like, yeah. Like, who is it? Who's the guy that's secular talk? I know he's always really salty about that. He always equates it to like Jimmy Dore and other people, and I think there's truth to that. Like, I think the whole political game is kind of gay to begin with. So this idea that like I in any way need to stump for anyone whatsoever, fuck off. But like, if you are playing the political game, it's like, then yeah, I do think there is something to the idea of. There is, like, the argument, say, for example, I know Fuentes' argument against Trump was something along the lines of, like, he is going to take this America First MAGA energy and he's going to derail it based on very obvious things. Things that I was pointing out before this. I mean, I wasn't so cocksure as maybe he was, but I had bad feelings, and it looks like I kind of was correct. So I don't know. But point being is the idea of like not. I actually think there like once again I know there's been so much cope, and maybe my audience will get upset about this. I still think we probably would be in a better situation if Kamala was president. Does that mean I like Kamala? Does that mean I like Kamala Harris better as a person, or I like her policies better, or I think the left side of the aisle is better? No. As I've explained a million times, that just is me acknowledging that I believe the political reality on the ground would be different with a liberal presidency, with a Democratic presidency, and especially in the situation we're in now where everything else is Republican. It'd be a much different situation. And I think things would probably be better. Now, am I open to the idea that it could be the same or maybe even worse? Sure. But the very idea, this like cope of like, oh, especially since a lot of these people I know of them come to mind, they're making these sort of arguments, or people I've known that I learned this concept from. The concept of like, despite your knee-jerk reaction of how things would be, sometimes it's actually counterintuitive. The concept of if you have a Democratic president in office and you have like everything else is Republican, it's actually going to surprisingly work out better probably for the Republicans so far as policy goes. And whereas ironically, some of the times where we see the worst, deteriorations of liberty is when you have a fully conservative everything, and then a conservative executive branch as well. That's usually some of the worst situations you will see. Sorry, I just got a call. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I mean, those are some of the worst. So, and I still think that we'd probably be in a better situation. Would I be surprised if it's the exact same situation? No, but it just seems like cope. And the point being is I think Fuentes is actually kind of right in his analysis of that. And I think a lot of people were being just silly and kind of getting caught up in MAGA energy. And if anything, it's kind of like, let's be real. There's kind of this feel good. I get to go with the crowd and be like, yeah, hoorah. He says the good things without having to really think on any higher level. So, but let's keep going.
Very obvious that Nick Fuentes is exactly the same. Doesn't mean everything he says is false. It doesn't mean he's not talented. He's enormously talented. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. I'm not attacking him personally, but he is clearly part of a campaign to discredit non-crazy right voices. That's obvious to me. I've been around a long time. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't understand it. We were very kind to him. Like I truly, like we almost said, like we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience.
This just feels like mean girl energy. That's the gay thing. And then don't get me wrong. If anything, I kind of tend to appreciate Candace for this. And by the way, I know a lot of this is kind of the context here is I guess he had recently gone on Candace's show. And from my understanding it seems like that she kind of just got sideswiped and like she came at him with like kind of a hostile interview. Then like essentially that's not all we expected. It even got like paywalled. It was just a very weird situation. It kind of, as much as I've been very much on her side lately or very much pleased-ish with her, I guess you could say, compared to the past, it's like this feels like weird. I don't know what this energy is, but it feels like mean girl, like I'm mad at you about something else, and all of this other stuff is just distraction from that. What that is, I don't know. I mean, it is a little bit bizarre that this broad literally got bought by some British royal after what, like a couple months of dating or some shit. So I don't think they'd ever even met in person, which who knows, maybe whatever, love at first sight. I mean, but I guess, but it happens. But like, bizarre to me. I'm, just I notice things. I can't help it. So I know, it just feels like gay Mean Girl. Don't get me wrong, it's kind of fun. I mean, this feels more like old school Tower Gang, but but not being as funny. Like we're just trying to goof around. Like if they're just trying to talk shit, spill the tea or whatever. If this was The View, haha, this is fun. But these are people who try to be serious political commentators who, ironically, are trying to be a voice for the demographic that is essentially Fuentes and his people. So let's keep going.
Experience I had,
it's clearly,
and then it was a 180. So it's either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he like just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's that
could be one element.
The angry.
I will say now to this gay little back and forth that we're seeing here, I do think there's probably, from my understanding, from the little bit I poke my head in and pay attention or outside looking in, I do get the vibe that Fuentes is a little bit of a Nick Dawson type thing going. Not did I say Nick Dawson? Is his name Nick, or am I fucking up his name? Dawson. Whatever the fuck. This is Nick, right? I don't know why. In my head, I immediately thought of like Nick and Nate Diaz, and now I can't remember if Dawson's first name is Nick. Whatever. My brain just did a weird thing. Anyways, he has that like he kind of the perennial does great work, borderline genius if not genius, but manages to fucking destroy all their relationships because they're just, I don't know, cunts, I guess. I don't know. That's the impression I've gotten from Fuentes as well, although to give him the benefit of the doubt, I haven't really paid attention to his career enough to really have a strong opinion on that. It's just the vague appearance from the outside looking in. So there might be something to that. I do think maybe he doesn't do himself any favors, maybe in some of the way maybe he treats people, perhaps. So, but I do think it's kind of ironically comes from the same energy that we're seeing from Candace here. Despite like, while I do think the gay thing that we might even get into this accusation in a minute is kind of, well, it is funny. It's kind of gay. It is kind of, there's a reason why this accusation sticks. Like, I'm not saying Fuentes is gay, but it's like, it's one of those ones that just, it's one of those like when you're when you're growing up and everyone makes fun of each other. Just sometimes certain insults stick, and it's just because like, well, it lands. So it's like it doesn't mean it's true that he's gay, but there are telltale signs that make this really just a fun thing to go with. And to give from everything I've seen with him though, it also to Fuentes' benefit, he doesn't seem to get upset by it. He seems to roll with it. So whatever. But so it's not even a thing where he's like upset by it, so people pick harder. It's just that it's like, come on, you're a little bit effeminate. So let's keep going.
Gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Or it's what you're saying where he does this, he's lying to everybody and pretending that things are one way when it's not. I can say
why is he attacking Joe Kent, who, I mean, Joe Kent worked as a CI.
It was Ryan Dawson. I knew I was fucking up the first name. Let's keep going.
Paramilitary contractor. He's in the U.S. military for years fighting our neocon wars. And his wife was killed in Syria in one of those wars. Joe Kent is the single most sincere critic, and I would say the one with the most credibility.
Oh, we'll come back to Joe Kent.
In the United States to say this foreign policy is bad. It killed my wife. I was a part of it. Joe Kent is actually someone the CIA doesn't like at all because he understands how it operates. And
now, why does he understand how it operates? We'll get into that.
Nick Fuentes, who's like some child from Chicago, to go after him specifically, one congressional seat in Washington State.
That is random.
It's not random, though. It's the opposite of random. Joe Kent was number one on the list of people they wanted to knock off, people who believe in our neocon foreign policy. They wanted Joe Kent out because he could stand up and say, I actually know. I've got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria. You had to take that guy out. And Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in a super PAC to bump off Joe Kent. Like, I've been around this my whole life. I know what that is. It's just an organized effort.
Yeah.
And he also did the thing that David Duke always did, including to me, which is be like, oh, yeah, it's my friend. And everyone's like, oh, Tucker Carlson's been endorsed by David Duke. I've been making like the anti-racist argument my whole life.
Right.
Like, I'm not for David Duke.
Making the anti-racist argument my whole life. So gay.
Which is be like,
man, this is something. It's not looking good. I don't know if this got squeezed into there, but I do want to just set the stage. Can you remember how you can point out? Oh, he's going at Joe Ken, and Joe Ken's super anti-CIA and this and that. I believe he at other point goes in about how great JD Vance is, and he goes into how look at why is it that he also points out why is it Fuentes is going after him. So I find that particularly interesting. The certain characters that he seems to push. So yeah, let's roll the chat, see what you guys can say, and then we'll go into the next clip. Because yeah, this is I find this particularly interesting. Tuck's been on a roll with the guests lately. He sure has, for sure. Tom says Tucker claiming to hate the CIA feels similar to Fuentes claiming to be straight. Yeah, I know, right? It feels weird. It just is like that exactly. Like this feels like if Fuentes didn't just roll with the fucking like the gay aggie. Like if he just didn't like kind of have fun with it and go like, haha, yeah, whatever. Like, cause if anything, like the move for Tucker would be to essentially be like, oh, okay, haha, I get it, whatever. The accusations, what can I say? If anything, it's kind of like I get him kind of now. Like it's like what am I gonna do? Like if anything, it's like what protest too much because it's just like okay, whatever. I mean, there's no real fight. If anything, what Tucker can do is just be chill and go, yeah, this shit does look wild. Try to be as transparent as possible. Although I feel like if he was transparent as possible, it might not look so good. So. Tom says, I don't even necessarily think he himself is CIA, but he's definitely protesting too much. I was actually thinking about this today. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't, if it isn't as simple as just like, oh, he's CIA. I really do think that if, like, let's say, because I think there was kind of, how do I put this? There was like a shifting of how things were done into like the public-private around like, what, the 80s or so. And I just kind of feel like there might be something to this. Is something that's been thrown around a lot, especially with like Epstein, the idea of that he isn't necessarily CIA or Mossad, that perhaps he's more of a contractor. And I have a feeling that this might be perhaps how the intel of now is kind of done, where really you kind of have this infrastructure that's laid out and essentially independent contractors find out about it to one way or another, and they sort of just get into the mix. And once you kind of know the lay of the land, I think perhaps you could, and I could totally see, because now with that dynamic in play, then let's just say Tucker is someone who can keep a secret, and is perhaps willing to be parts of certain narratives at times. What meaningful way is that really different than being part of the CIA? If you have CIA contacts, like, so yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the kind of the point here. So, and then let's be real, the connections here. So, all right, let's keep going. Tucker told Putin in their interview that he tried to join the CIA. Yep, well, definitely. Yep. Sounds like a smear campaign on Fuentes, who shined a little himself, says William Miller, for sure. Mulgara says, the idea that you're on the right, you shouldn't attack the right is insane. If you want the right to be the best you can be, you got to police your own. Exactly. Connor Freeman said once that he almost wishes Kamal was president because no one would take her seriously. Exactly. He says, I think we'd be in the same place if Kamal were in office, honestly. Probably, yeah. Give or take. Like, I'm not even saying it'd be drastically different. Maybe you'd see an increase in shit going on in Ukraine as opposed to Israel, but we'd likely still have the same thing. Yep. Pretty much. So, yeah, it's basically Knife Safety says, good morning, Jose. Good morning, Knife Safety says, sometimes you ride the horse, sometimes it rides you. The Nick going after Dave Smith is also gay as fuck. Now, I will say I did watch this 5-hour stream. If anything, I almost feel like I don't know what's going on with my boy Dave. I say my boy, we're not that close. We're like acquaintances. But it's like, it's concerning because I know Dave does strike me as a good guy, does strike me as someone with integrity. Maybe I'm just being too much of schizo. Maybe Dave's aware of these things. I struggle to believe Dave's not aware of these things and isn't familiar, but it does almost feel like with this cabal of whatever this is, I don't know to what degree these people are legit or not. If anything, Dave kind of feels like their token, like, good guy, if that makes sense. Their token, I know everyone's probably expecting me to say Jew, but that's not even what I was thinking until I said that, and then I realized, then I was like, oh, that's what everyone's thinking. But no, he's like their token. Like, he's legit, like, he legit is, I don't know, he's just good on shit. Like, he is, this guy fucking, he's got an amazing track record. He's really good in the fucking arguments. He's witty. So it's kind of like, look at this guy. If anything, he kind of backs up them. And I think there might be something to that. Fuentes laid out the argument that I think if you understand where the CIA's current foreign policy is and has been for a little while now, their stated goal has been essentially to move past the Middle East and move to the East, over to China, to police that region. And the idea was to pass off things to Israel. So I think there is a good point to be brought up. If you look at a lot of these characters, they're still very friendly with the China hawk narratives and the China hawk people, like the Vances, like the Kents, like the, these sorts of folks, like even like Trump. But then now what does that mean? Now these people are also going to be like, hey, we need to get out of Israel. We need to do stuff that's like, so they're going to be advocating like, hey, ending war, this, that. And so it's going to look to us like, oh, wow, these guys are on our side. And you're like, okay, until the next thing comes around. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tucker saw the light of day at some point and he's just legit and I just can't buy it. But like then at the very least, he needs to have Nick on and address these things because he's making himself look guilty as shit. So scrolling through. Yeah, okay. You guys I can come to the point where you guys are talking about the thing. Didn't Fuentes get caught on video sucking off Destiny? I don't think that was ever really proven to be him. I think that was just like I don't remember the specifics on that. I learned too much about that one to begin with. I don't think it was conclusive. So here's Tom33. I could totally see Tucker's CIA dad getting him his Nicaragua trip to kill some Browns like every 19-year-old wants to do, and he didn't even realize the political implications. Yeah, I guess so. But at the very least, you also kind of got to, you can't act weird about it. So, all right, this is called The Pot Calling the Kettle the N-word, says Hustle Bones. Yeah. All right, let's get into the next clip here. Let's watch this one. Now, this kind of goes into some of the Joe Kent stuff. So, because this is one of his big things Tucker points to. It's like, oh, well, there's issues. Well, he's attacking Kent. Okay, well, Kent, this ardent voice against the CIA, because he knows, he has the receipts, is what Tucker keeps going. Well, why does he know? Well, it's because he's fucking CIA.
A CIA officer. That was not public information until Donald Trump tweeted it last year after he won the election. Joe Kent, who was a secret CIA officer the entire time, got $1 million from Peter Thiel. He consulted with Ryan Gerdusky. He runs for office in Washington State. Initially, I try to support him. I get disavowed for no good reason because I'm critical of Israel. I make him lose to make an example out of him. Tucker Carlson's friend, Max Blumenthal, the son of Bill and Hillary Clinton's hatchet man, writes a three-part hit piece about me with no mention of any of this, accusing me of being a Fed. Then that article is conspicuously promoted by an under-the-table, unofficial ad brokerage with the hashtag that I'm a Fed. Tucker says that Joe Kent, a CIA officer, was taken out by the CIA, who is presumably me. And then on his show today, Tucker Carlson says Joe Kent is the epitome of the anti-CIA, anti-neocon, authentic voice that is against hatred and is not crazy. Well, I got to tell you the truth. I am feeling a little bit crazy because that's gaslighting. That is gaslighting. The CIA took out a CIA officer. The gay kid in his basement, the weird gay kid in his basement is the CIA. Taking out the CIA officer running for Congress that got $1 million from Peter Thiel, a CIA contractor, who, when he lost, was defended by Max Blumenthal, whose dad was an intelligence broker for Bill and Hillary Clinton. You know, it's like that meme of Spider-Man. Everybody's calling everybody else a Fed, but I think this one's pretty cut and dry. Who is CIA here? The CIA officer or the guy that made him lose the election?
Which, by the way, I guess some of you guys in the chat are debating whether he actually, caused him to lose. Which I don't know. Whatever. J. Propumling says Dave Smith is every bit as hard on the China Hawks as Middle East Hawks, which is that was kind of my point. I don't know. Maybe if I misspoke or something or whatever, but That's kind of what I was getting at. I guess Dave is good altogether, whereas like I don't know for certain. I don't recall, I guess, say for Candace, whether they're talking about China or Tucker, but I swear Tucker has said stuff kind of flirting with it. So he's now it's almost like he's like not really leaning into it, but I swear I've heard him say stuff. I don't know specifically where he is on that, but that was kind of my point actually, was that Dave is actually real good on this shit, and whereas like I'm not as certain they're as good on it, which to some extent you're like, okay, hopefully Dave turns them, but it's like I'm a little bit concerned of that's not what they're. They may not be organic actors. So, yeah. So then Tom says, my girlfriend's not political at all. Asked me what's going on over in Gaza, and I told her Israel's committing genocide. There's a response. That sounds about right. Yep. All right, let's keep going. Let's go into the next clip here. Now, this one is getting into, apparently I think he said in that clip, I forget if it was in that first one we watched or not, but he essentially made the claim that he didn't know his dad was CIA until his death. He claimed he was shocked to discover his dad was CIA upon his death in March 2025. But here he is in June 2024, Ms. Dang was CIA. So we watched that clip earlier, where he said the first time he heard Fuentes talking, he was talking about his dad, and that's where he found out he was fucking. He was like, oh, Fuentes was saying his dad was CIA, and he's like, my dad's not CIA, and then then his dad died later, and he's like, oh shit, he is CIA. Well, that's bullshit, because I don't know, we really don't even need these like examples of him saying stuff otherwise, but his dad ran Voice of America, which was the one responsible for like the propaganda for color revolutions for the CIA. He was appointed by Reagan. Like he was fucking CIA. His dad worked for the CIA. It was insanely obvious. So like, yeah, but all right, let's watch this.
And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it. Native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just.
So yeah, even then, I was going to maybe give him an out and say, well, like maybe he said specifically his dad was an agent. Well, no, even there he said in that world. So there's not even that like, because like maybe you could have this like, well, my dad wasn't an agent. And you're like, your dad ran. They're like, sure, you could say no, he wasn't an agent. He was just receiving funds for the CIA to run a propaganda. Like you're just an agent at that point. Like what meaningful difference is that in an agent? If anything, he's actually like a bigger deal than most agents. So kind of a super duper agent, really. But yeah, no, he's said that. I mean, it's also just not reasonable to assume otherwise. It's ridiculous. I mean, this guy went to, South America during the time his dad was working to overthrow these places, and he has pictures of him with freedom fighters and shit, which we talked about in the chat earlier. All right, let's watch this last. Maybe put this on 2X. Watch a little bit of this. He did a good job slapping this shit down. So come watch it.
Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. Well, okay, you're not right about all of that. But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson says I have so many trust funds I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel, and I was punished for it. I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel last year. And I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, by the federal government.
Now, I will say this shit just makes you look like salty. And, like, I do think that is a somewhat valid point when you're like, hey, you're Johnny-come-lately, but it also does make you look like a salty bitch. And it is, I understand the compulsion, because it is like, if you've done a lot, it's like, whatever, these people are let in now. But it's at the same point, especially when you're upset that, like, I don't know, whatever, let's keep going.
By the conservative movement that both Candace and Tucker were a part of. Candace and Tucker had nothing to say about Israel until it became unavoidable last year. Not popular, but unavoidable. And now they want to gatekeep me out and do this personality attack and say I'm a bitter loser in my basement from Chicago. I'm a kid from Chicago. And they slipped up there because they forgot for 1 second that they're pretending to be the spokesperson for exactly that kind of person. Tucker's mask slipped, and he forgot for a minute that for 8 years he's been pretending to care about the plight of weird kids in their parents' basement who are broke and didn't go to an Ivy League school, living in cities that don't matter like Chicago, not like Washington, D.C. or L.A. or New York. And that's why...
No, I will say he didn't hit the nail on the head here. Now, I saw some people, because he kind of gets to the point of like... essentially like disaffected white people or white young men or whatever is kind of like that's the demographic Candace and Tucker are going for, yet here they are talking mad shit about him and being shitty. And then now I did then cue all the clips, and I only watched like one of these, and I didn't even bring them up for this. I probably should have. But a lot of people brought up clips of him talking mad shit about pores, which... Okay, I watched one of them. It was funny. It was who was it? I forget the guy, the secular talk guy. I can never remember his name. I find him to have semi-interesting takes. I find him also kind of insufferable. Anyways, he showed one of those clips, and he did the whole, like, lefty, like, oh, look at him. Oh. And honestly, I thought it was fucking hilarious. And maybe I'm just an asshole, but, like, I saw that clip. He was talking about pores. And he's, like, joking around. He's like, I fucking hate pores. Pores this, pores. And I forget what even the specific context was, but... keep in mind, pores is a different categorization. Now, don't get me wrong. Who knows? I haven't followed his stuff enough. Maybe he is just a raging elitist and he hates all... Maybe he does hate the disaffected white man, Fuentes. But I think, technically speaking, people are trying to conflate pores and disaffected young white man as one and the same thing. No, I think when we lower middle class to middle class people talk about pores, we're not talking about us. Like when we talk about disaffected white people or young white men, we're probably talking about lower middle class type men that feel like they should be doing better than they are and should be excelling. It's not like they're like failing, like they're the scum of the earth. They're not. We're not talking about the homeless. We're not talking about people living in Section 8 housing. Like, we're talking about something different. We're talking about someone who goes, I don't know, works in a factory and fucking, does 40 plus hours of work, and he just like has just like a couple bedroom apartment and like is just kind of scraping by. Like that's what we're talking. We're not talking about fucking pores. And so we're trying to throw it back at him. Like, these are different things. Like, he's advocating for, I guess you could say, the middle class, the soul of the nation, I guess you could. Whereas then everyone tries to throw him like, look here, you talk shit about pores, and it's like, yeah, that's right, fuck pores. Like, okay, I say that kind of like loosely. I'm speaking broad generalities, and when we're speaking in a denigrating term of what we're talking about a poor, does that mean I literally hate every poor person? Don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's going to be specific situations in which you're like, I can sympathize with that situation. Also, what are you defining as poor? I may not even agree that's poor. But like there's been some like people took some like clips of him saying shit, like talking shit about pores. And it's like, I don't know, I find those sort of rants pretty funny, and he does kind of do funny stuff. So, and I also don't think that's the same thing. So let's keep going.
I have such disdain and contempt for me in that moment. Between the personality attacks, he's lonely, he's weird, he lives in a basement. I'm sorry, did you guys forget that that's your target audience that you're trying to pander to? Did you forget that for 2 seconds? And I'm the inauthentic person? I am that person. I am a spokesman for the disaffected white man because I am one, and you two are not. Candace Owens got married to British royalty worth $200 million after meeting him for 2 weeks on Zoom. What the fuck is even that about? And Tucker Carlson's dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire fighting the Soviet Union. He went and fought with the Contras when he was in college. When I was in college, I was doing a webcam show in my friend's dorm room criticizing Israel. So who's the CIA cutout? Who's the inauthentic one? Who's the crazy, hateful one? I would never describe a well-meaning young white person who's trying to get ahead as a weird kid in his basement from Chicago. And what is that supposed to mean? What is wrong with being from Chicago? What is wrong with being weird? What is wrong with living in your basement? That's a lot of people because of the problems you claim to care about. Tucker's at Turning Point USA extolling the predatory nature of usury and how it's preventing young white men from getting homes. And then the week after says you're in your mom's basement. So which is it? Do you care about Klarna and people going into debt to order pizzas and home ownership being impossible? Or do you think that's a contemptible, low-status thing to be ridiculed and mocked? Who's pandering here? Exactly. Because that wasn't you. You were born to the Swanson family fortune and your daddy who ran the CIA. My dad didn't even graduate college. My dad worked for the tollway. His dad died of a drug overdose in the 70s. My mother's father was a garbage man in Chicago, and he committed suicide. He was a veteran of World War II. Who's the CIA cutout? Who's the poser? Who is America? I am America. Chicago is America. That's an American story. I didn't go to Yale Law School and suck Peter Thiel's dick and then get a sinecure at a venture capital firm advising Rebecca Mercer and writing Hillbilly Elegy and talking about it at the Aspen Institute. That's your biographical credibility? How many of these disaffected white people that love Trump because he's racist went to Yale Law School and got plucked out by Peter Thiel, whoever he even is?
Which, by the way, the point he's making here, which he did go into big time in the stream, is he went a lot into J.D. Vance's rise. and kind of the individuals he was pulling around with. I forget. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was one of the major fucking foreign policy neocons of that era. God damn it, I'll think of it later. That he was like literally basically his protege for a period of time. So I think it was slightly. This might have been when he was in college. Actually, this might have been before he linked up with Thiel. He's just such a weird creation, and you see certain people really pushing him. I mean, you see, weirdly, Candace and Tucker are both fallen out over him in many such cases. So but that's kind of what he's driving at there.
Peter Thiel with his fixation with the Antichrist, this homosexual who's involved with the CIA, who wants to live forever and govern the world with AI. Yeah, that's really relatable. That's really relatable. Do another show with him and Curtis Yarvin. Do another show. Do the 47th show with J.D. Vance. It is insulting, and it is insulting to everybody's intelligence for Tucker to sit there and say he doesn't know his dad is in the CIA, for him to say that I'm in the CIA. What a joke. What a sick joke. Especially after everything that's happened to me. And unlike what Candace Owens says, she says, what happened to him when he was 18? What happened to me is ongoing, okay? Unlike Candace Owens and Tucker, I never got a contract with Ben Shapiro and Rupert Murdoch. I was on Maker Support. I was on Patreon. I was on D Live. I had to fight for everything I have. I didn't get $1 million contract from Turning Point. I didn't get $20 million from Fox News. My daddy didn't get me a job in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, and the point I was driving at with the J.D. Vance is one thing also, too, he went into is that there are literal quotes of these bigwigs over and over and over again pointing to that J.D. Vance's biographical, which he literally used the quote there, biographical, God, what was the word he used? It was essentially his, like that was his secret weapon, his biography, which I honestly think, there's a reason I've called him Obama many times. I think his past is probably contrived to some degree. But I don't know. It could be completely legit, but either way, it's weaponized. Even if it is completely legit, it's kind of like, okay, cool. You grew up in the country. I knew plenty of fucking faggots in the South that fucking sucked. So, like, and I'm sure there's, how hard would it be to dig up some fucking chubby little fucking homo that's willing to suck Peter Thiel's dick and fucking, put on a suit and can be presentable and be, I don't know, is somewhat of a people person. So, I'm a Southern boy. Okay, sure. You're such a real salt of the earth type. Which, by the way, he was pretty sure he was a reporter in the military too. Which, far be it for me. I didn't do combat or anything. I was just a mechanic. But I don't know. I just feel like this. What's the word I'm looking for? This legend they've created about him just feels. As someone who does find myself that is feels more to my identity, I guess that just no, you're not that. I don't know. J.D. Vance is not the tough boy Southern man. Like, not that I'm wrap myself up in like Southern pride or anything, but it's like you're not that. Like, it's just not him to me. It just feels fake. Much like Tucker is becoming to seem kind of fake with this. I don't know. Something just feels to not. Something about this interaction. Maybe it could be papered over. Maybe he has them on. But it just something about this just seemed to be just felt revelatory. And then on top of all this, we have here's a post from Charlie Kirk talking about a J.D. Vance Marco Rubio ticket, which I know this just seems like a stupid I ship this or whatever type thing from some stupid BoomerCon nonsense, some stupid conservative take or whatever. But this is apparently it's got floated up by Trump recently, and I don't know. I think this kind of looks like it'd be the move. A Vance Rubio. I mean, Rubio obviously would be kind of a throwaway here, but they're throwing it out there. They're already seeding this idea out that Vance is the next one. So I don't know, which I don't know what's going on. I've been saying watch out for a while for something in that realm. I wouldn't be surprised if, who knows, maybe Trump doesn't even finish this fucking administration and we get a JD in there. So, but all right, let's roll the chat. Spend a minute, see what you guys got to say. This is just bad. Looks bad for Tucker. He should have just acted normal for sure. Candace, Tucker, and Nick are all attention whores with NPD. I don't even know what NPD is. Scrolling through. Tucker's son Buckley is on JD Vance's communication staff. Well, that's suspicious. I too hate people poorer than me. It says Tom33. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mulgara says, I hate this Johnny come lately argument. Like, if you've come to the right conclusion, I don't care what happens, just so long you come to the correct conclusion. Now, I do understand I understand the skepticism of someone coming super late to a position, but to some degree, you gotta be like, okay, well, I'm happy about it. I mean, but like, I mean, I'm skeptical, so it is what it is. So, this rant is pretty fire, honestly. Yeah, if you're talking about Nick's rant, probably, yeah. It was a pretty solid rant. JD is from my Ohio hometown, says Tom33. Oh, he's Ohioan? I mean, I don't know. What is? I don't know. Let me know. Is you're from like a rural area? What can you tell me? Does it actually match up with this hillbilly elegy bullshit? Do you know anyone who's knows of him? Does it? Because I know there's been kind of rumors it seems bullshit. So, but yeah, I guess so. You said Ohio. He's not even southern, but it is whatever. Maybe not southern. Rural is the impression they're trying to give us. Down home, rural, whatever. Maybe southern was the wrong word I was going for, but rural is the vibe I was going for here. And then Tom says, I did a little asking around. Nobody I know knew him, but he's significantly older than me. I mean, you'd think that'd be kind of a big deal, though, around your parts, but I don't know. Mulgara says 5 soldiers were shot at the base. None were killed. Thankfully, suspect is in custody. So there's your update on the, I forget what fort that was at. So that's good. That's good news. People were shot, but no one's killed so far, at least. So that's good. And suspect in custody. Hustle says power structures attract people who want power, and people who want power are the last ones who should have it. Just saying. All right, let's get into the next story. All right, let's go through some new stuff that's been kind of unearthed, that's doing the rounds of old clips with Trump and stuff like that on the Epstein. Here's Trump talking to some chick. I don't think she said her age, but catch the context of this conversation. This is weird. Just watch this.
My name is Juliet.
I'll read it because it is for those listening. The audio is pretty bad. It says, my name's Juliet. It's a pretty cute looking youngish girl, maybe anywhere from 17 to 24. She could be. I don't know.
I have a question.
She says, I have a question. All right.
How many jets
Says, how many jets do you have?
and how would I apply to be applied?
All right, he's coming over a little bad and a little bit better now. And how would I be a flight attendant? And for those listening, the lady kind of pulled him up to the stage. The lady that was with her to go be with Trump. This is from 2006, I think. So the Midas Touch Network, as we found this, I guess.
She's hired.
It says, I think she's hired.
Yeah, hired.
And now, for those listening, he just kind of wrapped his arm around her, pulled it her in tight, said, "You're hired."
Now, I had a case. It was very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18 applied to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class
17 or 18 applied to be a waitress.
beauty. Like the young lady who just asked a question about the actors. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, "But Mr. Trump, she has no experience." So I interviewed her anyway, because she was so pretty. And I said, "Let me ask you, do you have any experience?" She goes, "No, sir." I said, "When can you start?" You want me to work at my plant anytime. Hey. See, now, she worked at my plant. That's like a death wish.
See, now if she worked on my plan, that's like a death wish for me. Sorry, I'm only reading some of these and some not that seem a little bit more fuzzy.
That's like
It says, life's like an alcoholic. I have many friends. They're wonderful people. They're alcoholics. You put scotch in front of them. It's like, this would be my form of alcoholism.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So, okay, I mean, nothing damning, but it's weird, to kind of not being the accusations. I thought that was interesting. Here is Brad Edwards. Oh, no, it's Brown. I believe this is one of the first people who was reporting on the Epstein stuff. So let's listen to what she has to say here.
Was that right? Well, there was that came out as part of the discovery in one of the lawsuits. Brad Edwards, who represented a number of victims, deposed Epstein had a company, a modeling company, and Brad Edwards deposed the accountant who worked for that company, worked for Epstein's company, modeling company. And in that deposition, she provided a lot of detail about what he was doing, and it's clear that he was using that company, a modeling company, as a cover in part for the sex trafficking that he was doing, because she was describing exactly what they would do. They would send the younger girls down to Epstein's place in Palm Beach, and she just gave more detail than we had before, including the fact that when Epstein formed that company, he said to her, "I want it to be set up just like Donald Trump's modeling agency." So what that means,
that's in that record that she testified to that under oath.
Right.
That Epstein said that he wanted to model his modeling company that he would invest in on Trump's.
There you go. So just to recap that, I guess Brad Edwards had deposed Epstein's accountant during one of his numerous legal issues. And I guess she worked for a modeling company that Epstein owned. So she was, I guess she was some sort of model, I guess maybe somebody managing the accounts. But so anyways, through that, they were able to see what they were doing. Looked like they were running some sort of trafficking. And apparently on an oath, she made a point about how, Epstein specifically requested to have it set up just like Donald Trump's agency, to be very, very, very similar. All right, more on the weirdness of Donnie. Here is from the Daily Beast. I have not read this, so I figured, who knows? Maybe this will be just some bullshit locker talk stuff, but it says Trump allegedly handed Prince Andrew a list of masseuses after the two men engaged in a sick conversation about pussy. So here we go. It says Donald Trump allegedly handed Prince Andrew a list of masseuses after the two engaged in a sick conversation about pussy. The interaction reportedly happened in the year 2000, not long after they had been introduced by their mutual friends Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Claim was made in a report in the Daily Mail on Saturday by the respected royal writer and historian Andrew Lonnie. Lonnie is the author of Entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, a new investigative biography of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. The book has already ignited controversy with a series of astonishing claims, including that Epstein described Andrew as more obsessed with pussy than me. Lonnie has also alleged that a physical altercation between Prince Harry and Prince Andrew broke out in 2013 when Andrew allegedly made a remark behind Harry's back, and Harry called Andrew a coward for not saying it to his face. Punches were thrown, and Harry got the better of his uncle, leaving him with a bloody nose, Lonnie claimed. Which, okay, cool. Maybe that's what this picture is, with him a black eye. Although that's probably everyone making all the crazy conspiracy black eye stuff claims. Years later, according to the book, which I say crazy, it could be true, I don't know. Years later, according to the book, Andrew reportedly told Harry that he was bonkers for not properly investigating Meghan Markle's background, openly accusing Meghan of being an opportunist, and warned Harry that marrying the actress would be the biggest mistake ever. Prince Harry took the rare step of strongly denying the allegations of Daily Beast on Saturday. I can confirm Prince Harry and Prince Andrew have never had a physical fight, nor did Prince Andrew ever make those comments about the Duchess of Sussex to Prince Harry, a spokesman for Harry said in a statement. However, the controversy has not deterred the Mail from publishing the second part of its serialization of the book, which details the evolution of Andrew's relationship with Epstein and Maxwell. In 2000, Lonnie said Trump and Andrew attended Heidi Klum's annual Halloween party. Trump was quoted as saying, "Andrew's not pretentious, he's a lot of fun to be with." Then Lonnie writes, shortly afterwards, and clearly good friends, Trump and Andrew were overheard at an event to discuss Trump's plan for a golfing complex in Scotland, talking entirely about pussy, with the American producing a list of masseuses for the prince. A recording of Trump boasting that his fame meant that women allowed him to grab him by the pussy nearly derailed his 2106 campaign. All right, well, they fucked up there. 2016. The new book also claims that Andrew availed himself of the services of Epstein's driver, Ivan Novikov, whenever he was in New York. Novikov is quoted as saying, "Whenever Andrew was in town, I'd be picking up young girls who were essentially prostitutes. One time I drove him and two young girls aged around 18 to a hotel. Both girls were doing lines of cocaine. Prince Andrew was making out with one of them." Speaking to the same time period, one friend said that Andrew was spiraling out of control and had started dressing like a 25-year-old in jeans and blazer. Friend of Sarah Ferguson told Andrew that Ghislaine was manipulating him and he was too naive to realize it. Ronnie says there are fears among some in the intelligence community that Russian agencies may have compromised Prince Andrew over the Epstein scandal. Ooh, the one thing maybe we should bring this up later, but we kind of missed, with the vacation and other stuff, some of the crazy nuclear brinksmanship going on with Russia and us. Although I think it's surprising, like our former president, it's not even like an official thing, and Trump's just taking the bait like an idiot. Anyways, apparently, I think it's Vedmenev, or I forget his name, like a former president. Apparently, one of his responses to this back and forth of this recent nuclear things was essentially heavily implying that Jeffrey Epstein might not be the only one to have, have records of Trump's misdeeds or something along those lines. So you're like, oh shit. I think that was Russia just basically calling out our president, just openly being like, we have some shit on you. So it's kind of wild. That's where we're at now. Anyways, the Daily Beast has reached out to the White House for comment on the claims. Prince Andrew no longer has formal press representation, but a media advisor thought still to be in contact with him has been reached for comment. All right. So that's all right. Well, that one, whatever. I thought there'd be more in that. I thought maybe they'd give some details, but whatever. Okay. So he essentially gave him a number for some hookers, and when they, that way, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they're probably doing some evil stuff, but it also could just been your normal run-of-the-mill hooker stuff. So who knows? All right, guys, here's another one. There is recently released, this is from The Times, another one they're drip-dropping out of stuff. Here is, apparently they did took a bunch of photos of Epstein's Manhattan lair, so we can kind of maybe go through this a little bit together. This is a look inside Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan lair. In his 7-story townhouse, the sex offender hosted the elite, displayed photos with presidents, and showcased the first edition of Lolita, according to previously unreported photos and letters. So here's an interesting little sculpture. This is a bride clinging to a rope, dangled in a central atrium. So, okay, well, that's something. It's something else. All right, I'm not going to read through all of these. Which, although, here's one thing. I guess we'll read the first paragraph. I thought this was interesting. Actually, the first couple. As a gift for Jeffrey Epstein's 63rd birthday, which, let it be noted, just so you guys know, that we covered not too long ago that little booklet with all the other weird stuff in there. That was his 50th birthday. Apparently, there's also a 63rd birthday that has compiled letters and other such things from friends and such. So this seems like this was a semi-regular thing. Was this for every birthday? I don't know. But there was at least a 50th and a 63rd book that we're aware of. And this seems like a very, very, very odd thing for someone to do. It's almost as if you were the king of blackmail, that perhaps this is what you would do. Anyways, as a gift for his 63rd birthday, friends sent letters in tribute to the wealthy financier and convicted sex offender. Several shared a common theme, recounting the dinner gatherings that Mr. Epstein regularly hosted at his palatial townhouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, and his wife know the great diversity of guests. There's no limit to your curiosity, they wrote in their message, which was compiled with others in January 2016. You were like a closed book to many of them, but you know everything about everyone. Once again, saying everything. The media mogul Mortimer Zuckerman suggested ingredients for a meal that would reflect the culture of the mansion. A simple salad and whatever else would enhance Jeffrey's sexual performance. And the director Woody Allen described how the dinners reminded him of Dracula's castle, where Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who service the place. I mean, you're just saying it. I mean, so all right, let's go. Let's go through some of the photos and stuff, I guess. Some of the interesting shit that we find here. Let's scroll through some of this. Here is photos we can see here. Here's photo show a credenza, crowded frames, snapshots flaunting Mr. Epstein's connections to some of the world's most recognizable people. If you're on social media, you may have already seen some of these going around. And how we can see one with the Pope here, and Epstein and Ghislaine, and another one that looks like Epstein. Maybe that's Ghislaine in the background, some other important lady. There's one with Fidel Castro there. There's one with Noam Chomsky. There's quite a few. I mean, there's some weird ones. So there's, Mick Jagger was lost, isn't here somewhere too, in one of these different ones. So these are some of the people. Here's more photos. You can see Bill Clinton, was it Ehud, or there's Larry Summers. Who's Larry Summers? Or then Bill Clinton and Richard Branson Richard Branson being another big billionaire. So these are like all the big people. Here's more. Here's a photo from 2000 showing Mr. Epstein with Trump and the future First Lady minus Miss. So there you go. Okay. So there's a photo of. Well, this is weird. They edged Ghislaine out of the photo. That's odd. I was wondering what they meant by minus her. So if you look, you can see here's the original photo, and the framed doesn't have Ghislaine in there. So that's bizarre. Okay. So there's but then another interesting in the background, you can see Steve Bannon, which is an interesting one. He has something like well over 10 or maybe it might even been dozens hours, I forget, of him and Epstein for a documentary that he's weirdly not releasing. So, what else do we got? Then there's a dollar from Bill Gates. It says possibly a payment of bet. It says I was wrong, and it's signed by Bill Gates. So these are some of the weird things he has here. Here's a photo of him with Saudi Arabia's Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So like all the big dogs. Here's a photo of one of his rooms. This is pretty cool. Well, I'm not gonna lie. You can even see here a photo of a surveillance camera in one of the above his bed. So this is above his bed. He had a surveillance camera. Here's another surveillance camera. So they're kind of showing these second ones is in another room that's not in his bedroom. So yeah. More stuff of his. I'm not gonna lie, pretty cool little layer. So yeah, maybe go check this out, guys, if you want. I'm sure there's more interesting information in here. Felt like it was a bit much to completely pick through the entire article for today, but I'm sure there's more interesting stuff in there. All right, let's check through the chat. It's been a minute. See what you guys say. This Tom says never read his book. Back to JD Vance. The town is a steel town, a mill town populated by mostly Southerners who came up from the coal mines. Typical dying steel mill town. You can drive across town in less than 20 minutes. He says the rest of the area is mostly rural. From what I've heard of his origin story, it's pretty typical for around here. Which I'm completely open to. That it's completely legit. So, and he says I too was a fat goth kid, so I can relate to him in a way. They could have totally faked his backstory. It could be totally real. I haven't heard anything special. Yeah, because it's like he was literally this photos of him being a weird fat goth kid. And you're like. Okay, and it's not this salt of the earth, which I don't know if there's anything wrong with fat goth kids, but I don't know. He's not the American quarterback they seem to try to sell him as or whatever. I don't know. He's not what, I feel like whatever they're trying to sell us as, it doesn't seem to be what he is. So, all right. It says, yeah, in a nutshell, Middletown, Ohio is a northern steel mill, Rust Belt town with an opioid problem populated by the descendants of southern coal miners. Okay. Yeah, breaking news. And Prince Andrew loves poontangs as DWS. Yup. All right, let's get into the next thing. All right, and then Tom's saying he didn't even go to the same school as him. He's from the rural area outside town. He had a different school system. Okay. All right, interesting. All right, let's get into this. Here is a piece I wanted to cover a while ago. This is from, I believe, Ken. This is the DOJ called just one FBI agent and no victims to testify before the Epstein grand jury. This is a little bit old, but this kind of dropped around vacation-ish time, and so it kind of got missed. But I felt like it was important, and we needed to go back over it because keep in mind, obviously, I know we got it blocked, so we're a little bit, whatever. This is probably even like old hat; doesn't even matter anymore. But I just still think it's worthwhile. Don't forget, they threw this out to our face of like, ooh, you might get some Epstein grand jury stuff, and you're like, okay, well, what's in this Epstein grand jury? That's what we're gonna go through a little bit here, and I think even then, it's just worth knowing. It's like even that wasn't what was being thrown out. This is how cover-ups are performed. All right, just two witnesses, both law enforcement officials, testified before the federal grand juries that indicted Jeffrey Epstein and his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, on sex trafficking charges. Justice Department officials said in support of their request to unseal transcripts of the usually secret proceedings. Only one of the witnesses, an FBI agent, testified during the Epstein proceedings. Moreover, no victims were called to testify. According to the DOJ, Epstein had over 1,000 victims. In a court filing late Tuesday, the officials again urged the court to release the records, citing huge public interest, but they also sought to assure the judges that making them public wouldn't harm victims of the couple's crimes. While the memo didn't detail what was in the grand jury testimony, it dampened expectations that the transcripts would contain new revelations, saying that certain aspects and subject matters contained in them became public during Maxwell's trial in 2021, and that other details have been made public through many years of civil lawsuits filed by victims. The Justice Department described the grand jury witnesses in response to questions from two judges who would have to approve the release of the transcripts. Grand jury transcripts are rarely released by courts unless they need to be disclosed in connection with a judicial proceeding. The papers filed Tuesday cite a 1997 Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that said judges have wide discretion and public interest alone can justify releasing grand jury information. The Epstein grand jury heard from just one witness, an FBI agent, when it met in June and July 2019, the government disclosed. The Maxwell grand jury heard from the same FBI agent and a New York Police Department detective when it met in June and July 2020 and March 2021, according to the submission. Okay, so let's go back to this. Apparently there were two grand juries. There was an Epstein one and there was a Ghislaine one. The Epstein one was, I guess, around 2019 in June and July. And in that one, the only witness they even had come up was a literal fucking FBI agent. And I guess it got a little bit better when the Maxwell grand jury came back around in 2020, 2021. And that's when they added to that roster a police detective. So in the Maxwell grand jury, you got a grand whopping total of one Fed and one cop. And that was the grand jury shit that they were floating about to get released that they wouldn't even release. The memorandum was signed by Jay Clayton, the interim U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, include the names of Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. The 2019 grand jury in New York appears to be a similar travesty to what took place with Epstein in Palm Beach in 2006, when state prosecutors only called 2 out of over 24 victims to testify. As a result, Epstein was slapped on the wrist with procuring a child for prostitution and of soliciting a prostitute. He received what's been widely described as a sweetheart deal, which saw him serve 13 months in a county jail. Obviously, we all know the rest. The rest is history. Dude's dead. So, yeah. There's also been some recent statements from Donnie on Ghislaine. I thought this was worthwhile. This is another thing we sort of missed, so I figured it was worthwhile going over. So let's go ahead and see what he had to say about Ghislaine Maxwell recently. Oh, audio's out. Give me a second. Let me fix it. Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. Were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of the workers that were taken to you, some of them younger women, I think he said. Were some of them young women? Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were. Yes, they were. Yeah. What did they do? In the spa. In the spa? Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Just kept taking my bitches. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I mean, this is, I guess, sure. Maybe he was literally just poaching his people. Just, I don't know. Once again, we keep another, clear situation of how close they were.
Person, does that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Which he's not entirely wrong, which we will go through some statements. I know a lot of people been jumping through things about Ghislaine, which I guess she has essentially claimed he said nothing. He hasn't really said anything about her before, or she hasn't said anything about him before, which there is some truth that we'll get into that. I guess recently, Virginia Jeffries' family were a little bit like, what the hell? They expressed horror after Trump said that Epstein stole their family member from Mar-a-Lago, asking about the extent of his knowledge of Epstein's criminal network. During that time, they said it was shocking to hear President Trump invoke our sister and say that he was aware that Virginia had been stolen from Mar-a-Lago. It makes us ask if he's aware of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal actions, especially given his statement 2 years later that his good friend Jeffrey likes a woman on the younger side, no doubt about it. We in the public are asking for answers. Survivors deserve this. And they're not wrong. But I will say, just to, I guess, be in the interest of fairness, here is Virginia Giuffre's testimony, at least one excerpt of it about Trump. So, in the interest of fairness, so showing the opposite. Although I think this dude is a fucking monster, and I think he probably rapes kids. But here, so far as Virginia goes, I don't know. Here is an excerpt from her testimony. So he says, right here he goes, but something about Jeffrey Epstein's presence. No. He said, what is the basis of your statement about Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey's? Says, Jeffrey told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his. And says, but then it goes, but you never observed them together. She goes, no, not that I can actually remember. Not off the top of my head, no. When did Donald Trump flirt with you? He didn't. That's what's inaccurate. Says, did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's home? Says, not that I can remember. On his island? No, not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No, not that I can remember. In New York? Not that I can remember. And then it goes, all right. If you could turn to the second page and read through those, let me know if any of those are okay. Then that's the end of it. So this is what she had to say, that she didn't really see him anywhere. So I don't know. Here's Liz Crocken, who's a bit of a, stumper for Trump. So here is, this is what she found an example of Virginia kind of stumping for Trump again. So here's another example of that. It says, this is Virginia Giuffre, and it says, at Elon Musk, I'm Virginia Roberts. I know Epstein client list. I met Trump when I worked at Mar-a-Lago. Hopefully our new president. Again, much to be tight-lipped about on the list, but also wary about who I tell. Only someone of your candor who knows what to do with this information could help. What are your thoughts and plans about saying things right in the Billionaires Playboy Club? Please DM for more. Thank you, V. Then a little butterfly. I'm not gonna lie, the butterflies creep me out, especially knowing the significance of butterflies and how that relates to the shit she was sort of involved in. But I don't know, whatever. That's far too schizo. Maybe she just likes butterflies. Anyways, so everyone's pointing to this too and being like, oh look, here she's kind of saying nice things about Trump. But also keep in mind, this was in 10/8/24. This is October 8th, 2024. This is before Trump, is doing what he's doing now. Like this, for example, just in Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously it's not just in, this is from a few days ago, but I missed it. Ghislaine Maxwell's new minimum security prison in Texas, the one she was quietly transferred to, prohibits all cameras and recording devices. No surveillance, no footage, no public visibility. So they moved a convicted child trafficker in a facility where transparency is banned by design, right as she starts cooperating with the DOJ. So there's a lot of ways this could be. This could be a hookup for her. This could be getting ready to murder her. There's a lot of things. So who knows? Maybe they're not going to try to make the Jeffrey mistake once and being like, all right, no one's going to buy if it's in a super high tech place. Again, we'll just bring her to a low security, or maybe they're just hooking her up. It's hard to know. I mean, it seems they may take care of their own. I'm starting to think more and more that they may have just probably fucking got Jeffrey out of there. Like, they probably didn't even kill the guy. So, all right, it's been a minute. Let's pop in the chat. We're done with Epstein. We'll get into the last story. I think we got like one, maybe. I'll probably finish off with one, maybe two more things. But let's roll the chat, see what you guys got to say. Boomer said, I just farted. All right, cool. That's the newest thing I have in there. That's nice. All right, back to it. Back to the stuff. All right, the most recent thing here is here's from Representative Anna Paulina Luna. This came yesterday. So she's saying Bill and Hillary Clinton will be receiving subpoenas regarding Epstein files to testify in the next few days per James Comer and GOP oversight, along with AG Garland, Barr, etc. Also, oversight has issued a subpoena to DOJ for files. So I thought this is particularly interesting. I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, it's probably just going to be political theater, but this is kind of surprised these people are going so far as to actually subpoena them. So we'll see where this goes. Here is the document. Let me see this. This is from yesterday. This is on July 23rd, 2025. This is Dear Attorney General Barr. Because Ken shared this surprise a subpoena Barr, which I am too. So I'm like, although I will say, after just covering this Epstein stuff, is this a threat? Like, hey, Barr, shut the fuck up. Because I'm starting to think, I don't know how this is something we didn't, at least I didn't think about too much to begin with, because everyone was so focused on the Clinton shit. It's looking more and more like, I mean, I'm not saying this is the case. There's many people who wanted him killed, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was fucking Donald that had something to do with it. But anyways, so it said on July 23rd, 2025, the Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Committee unanimously voted to approve a motion directing the committee to authorize and issue a subpoena to you for a deposition. Your second tenure as U.S. Attorney General, beginning early 2019, coincided with the federal sex trafficking investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, as well as his eventual death while in federal detention. It also coincided with the federal indictment of Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, which stemmed from the Epstein investigation. Pursuant to this direction, please see the attached subpoena for you to appear at a deposition on August 18th, 2025. And then below it also says, on July 6, 2019, while you were Attorney General, federal authorities arrested Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, and 2 days later, an indictment was unsealed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District for New York, charging him with sex trafficking minors and conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking minors. According to the indictment, Mr. Epstein sexually exploited and abused dozens of minor girls at his homes in Manhattan, Palm Beach, and other locations. Among other things, the indictment alleged that Mr. Epstein enticed girls as young as 14 years old to engage in sex acts with him in exchange for money. This was not the first time that Mr. Epstein had been investigated for committing sex crimes. 2008, he pled guilty in Florida State Court to 2 prostitution offenses. In exchange, he and his co-conspirators received immunity from federal prosecution through a non-prosecution agreement. So, okay, so they're subpoenaing these people, so keep an eye out. More to come on that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't expect much, but I am interested. My curiosity is beyond peaked. All right, let's pop in the chat, see what you guys gotta say, and then we'll I think maybe like 1, maybe 2 more things, then we'll get on out of here. All right. Adrian says he agrees Epstein's alive. Says Eddie says I'd imagine he's still alive. Marnimek says I saw a post on X that talked about this dirty cop that killed 4 drug dealers, buried them in a mass grave. His name, Taglioni, was the last person to share a cell with Jeffrey Epstein. You are correct. We have covered that quite a bit on here. Wild stuff. Emily Lawrence pointing out monarch programming. You were saying what I didn't say. I'm not going to say what what ethnicity they were. They were Jewish. So yeah. And someone's asking if I saw Nancy Mace's flat ass. Gross. Yeah, she did. It was weird. She made a riff off of the Sweeney Broad's jean ad thing that like maybe it's the jeans or whatever, and it was like her photo of her shooting, and you kind of the hot girl like leaned up against the wall, like butt kind of poked out and just flat, and it was just weird. It's like I'm not even like far be it for me to like ever give a woman shit for not having an ass or whatever, but like if the thing is you're literally being like, look at my fucking ass, you're like, and you're a congresswoman or whatever the hell it is she is, you're like, lady, get a grip. What are you doing? All right, the plot twist, Epstein was dead the whole time, says Hustle Bones. Yep. All right, last thing, and then we'll get out of here. I guess I just kind of want to let you guys know, I've heard a lot of hubbub from a lot of you guys that this thing happened. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't even know if I will. I'm unsure. I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to it. But essentially, I guess Tucker did an OKC episode. He brought on Margaret Roberts, which I don't know a ton about her. I know she just did a book called Blowback. I mean, I'll probably have to get around to it at some point. I don't really have anything bad or good particularly to say about that book or her. I've heard it has somewhat new stuff, but I don't really know what if it's really bringing much more to the table than like say something like Aberration, which, let's be real, that's the what's the word I'm looking for? The standard bearer for OKC content, I think. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people like to give Richard Charles books a lot of hype, and it is good. It's good for what it was. I think that's like the respectable, like like if you're like, if there's somebody out there that's gonna get like about anything that's like, I don't know, beyond the pale of normiedom, then yeah, give them that, and they'll probably come to a similar conclusion as someone who reads something like Aberration. Obviously, they both need to be. I think they both need to be read together. Is the idea? As you read both, they're both great. But anyways, so I don't know. It would have been nice to see like somebody like Wendy here, I guess. But hey, I'm just glad the message is getting out. I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know if she did a good job. I'll have to check it out later. I mean, I don't know. So far as what I've heard behind the scenes of her book and so far as information goes, I have no complaints. But, I mean, to be fair, a lot of that information was already out there, so it might just be... But, hey, whatever. I'm all for if there's, like... If someone, new person wants to come out every other month and make a fucking book on the Oklahoma City bombing, and even if they only add a couple new things every little time and they just are basically just rehashing old stuff, I mean, whatever, it gets a little bit redundant, but, like, hey, whatever. It's pushing the narrative out there. It's especially if they're on the right track. And from my understanding... I haven't heard anything from Margaret Roberts' work that would really be. I mean, I obviously I'm open to. I haven't read the book. But I haven't heard anything out there that's like, oh my God, here's this limited hangout, or here's this, or here's that. If anything, I think especially for something that's probably given her pedigree of what I am aware of, this is probably one of the ones that's more. What's the word I'm looking for? For being of the pedigree of, because I think she comes from some sort of, journalism back or something, that it's like of those that's actually more like that's in the, I guess you could say more buttoned up, I guess maybe the word I'm looking for is still biting into the core from my understanding. So completely talking my ass. I need to read it. I need to watch this interview. But it's just cool to see that this is out there. But either way, I think the information's good. I just don't know a ton. So, but yeah, it's cool to see that out there. So, but I mean, I saw a lot of people say shit like, "Oh, it should have been you," or this, that. No, it shouldn't have been me. I mean, if anyone, it should have been maybe Wendy or something. But I mean, even then, like, I don't know. I'm definitely not seeing Margaret here and going, "Oh, that should be me." No. I'm glad to see that she got in there. It's good. I guess it's good that it was some author or somebody of note. I mean, there's other people I preferred, but I don't even know. I mean, who knows? I don't know enough about Margaret to really have a strong opinion either way. I'm just glad I'm seeing this. So that's cool. So hopefully it'll drive some people to my OKC content or just give people, the drive to get more involved in this stuff. Go check out Aberration. That's what I can say. The best thing you really could do. Go check out Aberration, The Heartland of the Real. Great book. But yeah. So, and then I guess kind of on this, I thought it was funny. It was this Patrick Webb, which I don't know enough about this guy. It says investigative journalist Margaret Roberts claims there may have been a second individual involved in the Oklahoma City bombing, despite the lack of credible evidence supporting that conspiracy theory, which I don't know who this guy, what? Like, all right, for those who followed me long enough, I almost don't even feel like I need to say anything because it's lack of credible evidence. Like, but what literally every single person who saw McVeigh on the day of the bombing saw him with another person. It was like I think it was in the realm of like 24, I think, something like that. It was over 20. That seems like evidence to me. Seems pretty credible. The same exact evidence they used to verify the existence of Timothy McVeigh in his trial. Like, essentially, I believe it was like the pre-trial arraignment or whatever the fuck. Essentially, those people that I don't think actually ended up making it to trial, but like essentially what was used to confirm their existence were these eyewitnesses. That it was McVeigh that was there were these eyewitnesses. And then, like I said, I don't think they actually ended up making it to the trial. But either way, that was good enough to go, yep, that was him, is these people. But nope, every single one of them saying they saw another person. No, that person didn't exist. That was just made up. Just made up. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. This is... yeah, I don't know. I was scrolling through here. Maybe there's somebody who like dropped some good links or something. I figured there'd be some good responses that cooked him, but there's not even really a point in responding. This is just stupid. I mean, anyone who even knows a little bit about Oklahoma City bombing knows this. That's like one of the first. That's day one stuff. Like John Doe 2. That's like John Doe 2. It was like the largest manhunt in the FBI at the time. So this idea there was no credible evidence, well, it was credible enough for the FBI to go on the largest manhunts. All right. Here's a little bit of a clip from it. I figured we'd play this. 1 second. It's doing the little video thing again. I got to bring it back up. Also, I do want to let you know that I have had people ask me here and there, like, hey, what's going on? Have you heard anything about Richard Booth? There's that. Well, here he is. For those who are aware where he is, here's Felix Dzerzhinsky's ghost at Sammy's Dat Tusser, whatever the fuck, which is weird. I guess he's fucking LARPing as some commie now. For those who aren't aware, this is Richard Booth. He's the guy, he was the guest for my Oklahoma City bombing series. And I still stand by that. It's still great stuff. Luckily, I've read most of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff that, that he sourced that from. So I feel comfortable going, oh, that's still good stuff. Because, obviously for those who are aware of the falling out with me and him, what the fuck? The calls into question a lot of things for me, but luckily not that sort of stuff, because I did read most of this stuff I've read. So there isn't like something in there that I'm like, oh shit, he threw me off on some purposeful reason. For not that he would like that'd be the next level conspiracy. Like, I don't know, that'd be crazy. As if like back when I had like 1,000 subscribers, there were like people like feds out there chasing me down. I'm not saying that as a case. I'm just saying after whatever the fuck that is, that makes me go, what the fuck about the rest of it? But either way, no, I haven't heard anything from him. This is the guy who accused me of rape based on nothing, like literally nothing. So that's bizarre. But I haven't heard anything from him or nothing. So I just want to remind you that's still a thing out there. Here he is. I don't know, whatever. But I also just thought it was I happened to find him in the wild and go, oh shit, I know this because it literally, look here, writes about domestic gladio, okcfacts.substack.com. Not really being too slick. So here's his alt. But anyways, I just figured whatever, I'd show this stuff anyways, because I thought it was a fun little factoid we could hone in on anyways. And also remind you, no, I haven't heard from him. I don't know the fuck's going on. Yes, this guy did just insanely accuse me of rape, which weirdly, what a weird thing to do. Just to recap, for those who aren't aware, this guy had the craziest crash out of all time. He just came out of nowhere, was saying fucking crazy shit about Wendy, saying her like pussy stank, and that like, what other weird fucking accusations? Some crazy shit. And then he was going some weird tirade. What was he? There was some other weird accusation about her. Can't even remember what it was. Anyways, and then he threatened to fight fucking Ken Silva. And then I think I said something politely to him, kind of like Ken did, to kind of be like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? What's going on? Because he clearly was drinking or having some sort of weird crash out. Whatever. And then he flipped on me and then started with some weird rumor that I had said something to him about raping someone once, which I can't tell you anything other than I have not. Okay. Which, all right. I mean, what do you do with that one? I mean, there's not even like a person that's accused me that I know. Like, I don't. It's whatever. Okay, sure. Like, to that I say, prove it. Like, show something that says something that in any way, shape, or form implies. But anyways, he's out there. So still bewildering. I forgot I had a point. There. But anyways, let's just remind you, for those, I guess, an update what's going on there. I don't know. That is odd. But I do think it's weird. What the fuck? Oh, yeah, and then on top of that, after he accused me of rape, then he goes and when he accused Scott Horton of being a Fed. So, yeah, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, okay. So, anyways, I guess he's back to the living now, although just pretending like none of this ever happened. But, hey, I'm not going to let that be forgotten. But, hey, whatever. At the same time, I'll point out his retardedness, his fucking scumbaggery. And at the same time, I will point out when he gets good little clips or whatever. And if I do find his account, who knows? He'll probably block me after. Actually, no, even if he blocks me, I can still play his shit. I don't care. But here he is. He clipped something from this. Let's watch this together.
For a moment and clear something up that I have read. Don't know if it's true. So there was a psychiatrist, a contract employee of the CIA for many decades called Louis Joylin West, Jolly West, who was, one of the people who conducted experiments with LSD and other drugs on unsuspecting civilians. One of the darkest people in the 20th century American history. Also the person who declared Lee Harvey Oswald's assassin,
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, mentally ill, visited him in lockup in Dallas, et cetera, clearly sent to do that. So he's a super dark guy. I have read that he visited Tim McVeigh in jail. Is that true?
Tucker, I've seen that reference too, but no more than you do I know. I don't know that is true or not.
Now here, this right here, now this is a thing that comes up a lot. Now, Richard points out here, says that's true. Wendy Painting has a source who was there who said it happened after asking her to turn the audio recorder off. Now, if I recall correctly, I do believe that's actually the specific correct source. So, cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there that, hey, that is, this is true. That is the claim. And I think at some point, maybe whenever Wendy's next book comes out, it'll be in book format somewhere. So it'll be a lot easier to kind of be like, here's a source, as opposed to having to be like Wendy said one point on a podcast or whatever. So yeah, because I believe she initially said this on Program to Chill, I think, way back when. So anyways, and then here's more on this.
It's true or not.
Okay. Because if we ever find out that's true, then it is worth overthrowing the U.S. government at that point, because it's just like they're not even trying to hide it from us.
If only you knew, Tucker. All right, then Tucker asked, why wouldn't McVeigh just say he was asked to do this? He was recruited and following orders if that's what he was doing. Then he rightly points out the answer to that is Bluebird/Artichoke, Jolly on West. After West paid him his visit, he stopped talking about all that, which for those who understand the concept behind like DID, it's the idea of like you're creating alters. And one of the big things the aim is that the alters wouldn't even be aware of each other. So the idea is like you could create super spies who could go do shit and have some sort of trigger or whatever the fuck, and then boom, and then now it's like they went back to their prime or their other alter or whatever, and they've completely dropped everything, knowledge wise about that, unless it's required to be recalled again. So let's go ahead and watch this.
Something they've been working on for a long time. But what would his motive be in staying quiet about that? Like, why wouldn't he say, yeah, I was part of this at trial, and like, I'm not going down for this. I was asked to do it.
And then he goes on, Bluebird Artichoke developed a method to create two personalities in a person. Person A, the patriotic agent, and person B, the radical. West deactivated A and made B the primary personality. After that, I'm a martyr, captain of my soul, and send me the chamber. It's 168-1. Because leaving out West and failing to identify John Doe number 2 as a Fed were the biggest missing pieces here. If John Doe 2 were just some neo-Nazi, the FBI would not be hiding them. The only reason to hide JD2, say he doesn't exist, is if he is a Fed. Hoppy was right. He's referring to Hoppy Heidelberg, by the way, for those unaware. Hoppy Heidelberg was one of the jurors. He was the one who spoke out. I think he actually got kicked off the jury. There's a really interesting story there that points to glowiness. There clearly was a literal Fed of some sort that seemed to... I wish I could remember the ins and outs. It was a very bizarre story. I can never remember the guy's name, but he was some glowy fucking journo type that essentially tricked Hoppy into like doing something. Anyways, he essentially got him off the court, and he was one of the only ones who was really fighting shit. And he kind of loudly proclaimed that shit for a long ass time after that. All right, let's roll for the chat. See what you guys are gonna say, and get on out of here. Actually, I have one more clip for you guys. All right, let's get into this last clip. I thought this was particularly interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw another clip. I was actually watching the pre-show on Already Dead yesterday. There was a clip, was the clip from yesterday. I haven't watched this yet, and I probably honestly won't. This is a Milo on Candace, on with Candace Owen, and I guess there was one clip that I saw yesterday. I was watching the pre-show on Already Dead. And in that one, he goes on about, like, he literally drops that he had some sort of meeting with Mossad, and then just kind of gets breezed over as if, like, it's nothing. I forget the context there, but it's bizarre. But here's another one where I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Let's watch this together.
Chances have been completely annihilated given what's happened. But what do you think about J.D. Vance? I find his silence to be quite loud.
I have a feeling he's going to really pleasantly surprise us all, because I think the expectations for him were so low. He's a creation of Peter. People always like suspicious about, he's a creation of Peter Thiel, without really explaining what it is about that that's bad.
I could explain things about that's bad.
I know you could.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Peter Thiel, I put him in the same class as like and Elon Musk. I mean, they have this futuristic vision. It's a technocracy. I mean, they have. I personally don't think that people that in their own lives hold tradition or the nuclear family, that they should have positions of power, because for them, they want to create things like, we don't need women. We're going to create an artificial womb. We're going to have it just scares me a bit.
Very unsettled by Peter Thiel's answers in that interview with the New York Times.
Oh gosh, do you have that, Skylar? That was hilarious when somebody called. Huh?
Do you want the human race to succeed or something? And he's like, I was very very uncomfortable by that, for sure.
They're like robots.
100%.
The robots are here.
But the people he's put forward haven't been that bad. I mean,
But that's what they need. They need the person that you believe in.
Yeah, okay.
And I will say that's the one thing that makes me. And I have not met JD Vance, so I'm usually a person that I like to meet someone in person before I enter in a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that just looking at the story of JD Vance, there is, and this is something that Mark always says to me, that is this like the Obama thing where it's almost too good to be true. He's changed his name a few times. He was a senator, but somehow was able to get this book deal.
And it's
not really rags to riches. He's had a family that's been around for a long time. And also he gets this book deal, and like Netflix does a deal with him. Like, why did they pick this obscure senator? Again, I'm just at the point right now where I don't trust anybody. So I'm not saying this because I'm actually dismissing JD Vance. I'm saying that I'd like to have a further conversations and sit across from him and ask him these questions.
Your radical skepticism is
I'm radically skeptical.
Is what the moment calls for. It is the most rational.
I don't really feel like it's radical skepticism here. This seems like a weird, weird angle of attack. I really don't. I don't even understand this. Especially considering this dude literally just did the whole like I'm not gay anymore. Like I did the impression wrong, but you guys know there's that one meme of the one guy. I ain't gay. Okay, why do I fuck it up? I feel like I normally can nail it. But either way, there's this one meme. He's like, I ain't gay no more. I am delivered or whatever. Milo just went through that. And then yet he, in the same breath, is going to sit here and tell us. And I'm not saying that Thiel and his sexuality makes him inherently evil. But I mean, Milo, let's be real. You should have that perspective. Like maybe not like inherently evil by being, but like, there's something wrong, like at the very least, and especially since this guy, it does feel like Thiel does seem to swaddle himself in religion in a sense. He speaks in he pulls off the Peterson thing, but weirdly in this like Catholic type way, if that makes sense. Like he leans into the Catholic stuff. JD Vance even attributes his Catholic faith to meeting Thiel, so I guess he is a Catholic or something. Yet, while at the same time, I really feel like Thiel is the kind of guy. If you tried to Jordan Peterson and hammer him in on a thing, he'd be like, "What even is God? I don't. Maybe I'm God. Maybe you're God." Like I really feel like he would just be that kind of fucking weirdo. So, like I know. The point being is Milo. What a weird angle for him. Once again, this is another one where you're just like, this doesn't. What's here? I'm not even saying Milo is entirely a glowy or entirely something. I don't know, maybe he is. I'm not against the idea, but maybe there's a way to something. We're missing something here. This doesn't seem to line up with the purported, new persona that Milo seems to have created for himself. It doesn't seem to match up to me, at least.
Right? Thank you.
Like the idea that you wouldn't be terrified of Thiel, or at least incredibly skeptical of as a Milo, seems beyond me. If we're to buy that your like new religious shedding of homosexuality is legit or whatever.
That sounded so brilliant when you said it. My radical skepticism is actually the most rational position. Thank you, folks.
It is what the moment calls for.
Yeah. We shouldn't trust anybody at this moment.
I'm just a dreamer, Candace.
Seriously.
I'm an optimist. I've got to believe that he's going to be all right.
But you can't. How can we trust the JD Vance? I mean, what do you think about Elon Musk? I've been calling that out from the beginning. I'm like, this guy is.
If I understand correctly, actually, yeah, we covered in this show. I think it was Booty that found it that at one point Milo was the only person Peter Thiel was following. And Milo's also said some weird shit about parties that he may or may not have been involved in and possible happenings going on. Just saying. It sounds to me maybe like Milo may not have may have backed off from the party invitations, either not at all or way later than people like Tim Dillon did. Where apparently the story with Tim Dillon is as soon as it started being like, why are get-togethers being labeled media talks or whatever? Like, I don't like this. This is creepy. Well, it seems like Milo may have kept on a-going, is what it looks like to me.
Very clearly
we have no real way to know about Vance. We have plenty
kept on a-going to this renowned billionaire homosexual who's known for courting young twinks. So yeah.
Based to know about Musk. And Elon is.
Oh, and clothes himself in Christianity.
I mean, the future he wants is not the future.
Who's that look like? Almost wish I could do the little like at a board and I could just point at Milo right now. Him, right there. Like, look at that motherfucker.
I want, and the future he wants is not the future any of us really want.
But all of them are successful because they did deals with the state.
I sort of feel like,
what are we doing here?
I sort of feel.
All right, yeah, this is a weird back and forth. All right, let's roll through the chat and then we'll get on out of here. See what you guys got to say. He is delivered, DWS. Yeah, isn't Milo married to a black man still? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. That'd be a weird move to be like, I'm not gay anymore, but I'm still married to my husband. Be an odd move. Jose Nino has some funny criticism of Candace. Yeah, perhaps he does. I need to check out his show. I know he's got a new show now, I think. Yeah, the fake Christian grift is real, says Hustle. Perhaps. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's legit. Maybe he's not good no more. Maybe he is delivered. But all right, guys, we're over 2 hours. Went longer than I meant to, but whatever. I felt like the time called for it. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Should be about 11 a.m., give or take. So I look forward to hanging out with y'all. Let your friends know. Hey, share this around. Send it over, whatever your favorite episode. Go through my old playlist. I've got a lot of different stuff I've covered in the past. If you want to dig into weird topics like, I don't know, like Jim Jones and his church, or Oklahoma City bombing, or Vegas, or all sorts of stuff, I probably have a playlist for it. I even have all sorts of live readings. If you want to get into political theory and stuff like that, I have all sorts of stuff. Just dig in there and find it. Or if you just like to hang out on the daily with these live streams every day, or usually most days, Monday through Friday. Sometimes I pick up at work, but usually around 11 a.m. Eastern, you'll find me here. School's going to be starting up here soon. I'm probably going to push the time back, just to throw that out there. We also got Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. We got Already Dead. It's where we do our call-in show with me and Austin. But yeah, if you want to support what I'm doing here, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. All those things help out big time, help out a lot. And if you really want to help out in the best way you really can, give me money. Go over to patreon.com/NoWayJose 2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to early episodes. For example, I'm getting ready to have Austin back on for Jutro, so stuff like that. I usually do 1 to 2 of those a week. Usually keep about 4 or so behind the paywall at a given time, so it's weeks of paywall content. You also get an ad-free RSS feed. You also get access to a Telegram, and you get priorities, or you get access to the pre-show and priorities for the call-in on Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also, we give a big shout out to my sponsors, who the big money billionaires out there who help support this show, and by that I mean they shell over a few buckaroonies, not too much, but not too little, and I appreciate you guys' help. And for that, I give big love out to you guys every day. I have my previous co-host on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also at AbricatD's, at ZOVRECK, at _InfantSeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Club, Will Bells, Lucius Blueberry Rabbit I Want, Big Fan of the Show, Torn Me, at Wayne Taculus, and not Mossad. They'd never sponsor this show, that's for sure. I need to stop that. You guys are too noited. There's already too many fucking you're totally a Fed. I can't lean into it. Although it's too fun. I want to lean into it. Anytime there's something that there's a rumor, the fucked up part of me is I'm going to lean into it. Literally just the other day, me and my daughter gaslit my wife. It was fucking hilarious. I can't remember what it was. I think I literally let out a humongous fart. And it was the other side of the house. And then I think that's what it was. And then she was like, honey. And I go, what? What are you talking about? She goes, yes, I did. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. No, you didn't. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I just opened a door. What are you talking about? I think that was totally a fart. That was totally a fart. You totally farted. And then she's like, no, I didn't. Come on out. And then even she came out and goes, and my kid right there, she goes, yeah, we just did that fart. And you go, nope, just dead serious. Just look me in the eye. And I kind of give her a little wink and just we just do, this is the sort of shit we do. I know this is the kind of fucked up mind I have. So when there is shit like this, I just like to play mind games. So I should stop though. But either way, not Mossad is sponsoring the show. So thanks, the one sponsor who likes to change the name every time. Whatever, we can have fun together and lean into it. But yeah, with that, guys, I think that's all. I'll see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. I have a nice little outro for you guys. Ozzy being a bass king, despite being some sort of weirdo Satanist or whatever the hell he is. But let's watch this. I'll see you all tomorrow. Leave a like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Tower Gang. Say, see you all, motherfuckers. See you all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.
Women weren't allowed to have credit cards until I think 75 or
Fuck
76.
off. Women were not allowed to have credit cards.
In this country until 75 or 76, you couldn't have a credit card.
That was a good law. Wait.
Women